From this dream where she was trying to show me how a life could move from the darkness. She said to get better. So I put a bullet where I should have put a helmet, and I crashed my car cause I wanna get carried away. That's why I'm standing on the yellow path screaming at myself, hey, I wanna get better.
Well.
Morning, everybody.
Oh, it sounds like Broadway hit back pretty hard. Hey, let's try that again. Good morning, guys. That's a little better. They are alive. Those notes, take some time to get organized on it. The more intention you have on both, okay, I'm coming to a big training event, what do I need to get out of this? But also the intention you have coming out of this, how do I actually implement and put these things into place, is going to be such a game changer. And the timeliness of this, of doing it now while it's fresh in your brain, is really, really important. So that's my words of wisdom for the day. Has anyone got their, look at Joe, my spokesmodel here. Has anyone got their Jared James t-shirt, hoodie yet? Guys, this is a great thing. Now, Joe, here, hold up a hoodie.
Hold up a hoodie, you got it.
Maybe, does anyone want to win a hoodie? So like 7 people want to win a hoodie? Does anyone want to win a hoodie? So on the back there, they do say consistency is undefeated. This is a great way to take a piece of the advance home with you, and then every time you see that, be that kick in the butt, that little reminder that you need that, yep, you know what, I'm backsliding here a little bit. This is just gonna keep me back on track with being consistent.
And the shirt I'm wearing, you guys only get if you become a coaching student, so keep that in mind. I'm with Jared.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play a little game. Who was here last year when we played the Are You Smarter Than Zillow game? We're gonna play a fun little game right now to win some swag, and I might even just give away a little bit more.
Excellent.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, Joe's got some slides ready to go. I'm gonna hop down and get down with y'all. I need a first contestant.
Raise your hands, people. Let's get some volunteers.
Who wants to play first?
Oh.
Right here.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah. What's your name, hon? Millie. Hi, Millie.
Oh, no,
nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
It's kind of funny because as I watch all the consults and I've matched you with coaches and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I get to actually meet you in person. Kind of funny. Okay, Joe. We've got Millie. She's locked and loaded, ready to go.
Fantastic. So, just to explain a little bit how the game works, I'm going to show you guys a property, a photo, a listing description, and ask how much the house was listed for or what it sold for. And you got to tell me what it is. So, oh, I need the slides. Sorry, I'm a little bit bleary-eyed myself this morning. The picture on the left is the state this Pittsburgh home was sold at in June of 2020 for only $165,000. After a little TLC, bringing us to the picture here on the right, it was relisted in July of this year for how much? And these are the four options.
Okay, what did it sell for again in 2020?
$165K.
165, and it resold this year, zhuzhed up a little bit. You got to pick the sale price.
Oh, if we were in Georgia, I know how much it would be.
Oh,
You didn't see anything.
You just flashed
Ah.
$1 million.
Oh my gosh, how did you figure that out?
I don't know.
Woo.
I don't even live there.
We got a genius over here.
I think that investor certainly did well on that one for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Wowza. Okay, who's next?
Reagan, I actually have somebody right up here that was talking to me last night, really wanted to
Okay.
participate.
All right, stand up, hon. I'm coming round. I'm coming round. What's your name, dear?
Kelly.
Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
This one's gonna be a little bit harder, and I'm not gonna show the answer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Joe.
We were tight, man.
One
Well,
more
since-
coffee, Joe. One more coffee.
Maybe 4 or 5. So this one is for our Halloween fans. Here, we got Halloween coming up, so this one's a little bit more spooky. This 8-bed, 9-bath, 6,085 square foot home in immaculate condition, halfway between Chicago and St. Louis, was previously owned by a renowned British soccer player that died by mysterious means.
Fancy.
Frank Cruikshank was known to shoot crows in the neighborhood and was found dead in his basement with nobody home, surrounded by crows. Does his ghost walking the halls affect the sale price negatively, or were the new owners okay with a haunting for that type of luxury when the house was sold earlier this year for, and these are the 4 options.
What do you figure? What did it sell
Earlier
for?
this year,
Earlier
And
this year,
And
I'd say
between
2.85.
Chicago.
you're saying 2.8?
yeah.
2.8?
Anyone else? What are you thinking? 1.3, 2.8.
Remember, 8-bed, 9-bath, 6,000 square foot.
780.
You sticking
Well-
with your answer? Final answer, babe.
I'll go with 1.3.
1.3?
Yeah, I'm under pressure here, you know.
Well, you're a
And-
braver person than these buyers because it went for 285.
How's that for a deal?
Oh, yeah.
Wowza.
Hey,
Thank you.
I guess I'm not smarter than Zipper.
But apparently whoever bought that house is pretty smart, although they're going to have a hell of a reno budget by the looks of it.
Definitely.
That'd be a fun Halloween haunted house idea.
All right, let's come over on this side of the room. And one more. Woo! This one had her coffee. She is like energetic and ready to go. Come on up, honey. What's your name?
Natalie Grant.
Hi, Natalie. Okay, Nat.
Oh, we're ready. Okay. So, this is another tough one for you. This home was once listed as the most expensive home in the U.S. on Zillow's platform at a whopping $210 million. Built upon a man-made island boasting 5 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, a private dock, and one of Palm Beach's few lighted tennis courts, it was sold in July of 2021 for what price? Originally listed at $210 million, sold in July of 2021.
225. I'm gonna go with 225 million.
Final answer?
What do we think, guys? Shout it out. What do you feel it is? We got 85. We got 225. Final answer?
Final answer?
Final answer.
Final answer. 85 million.
85. Wow.
Ugh. Ugh.
Who said 85 over here? There was someone over here that said
Yeah,
85.
who said 85?
Who said it first? I think it was you. I heard you first. You get one too. Just take it up.
You know, while I'm up here doing this, I'm thinking we have clients in this area. I'm really hoping one of y'all didn't list this house.
So we got one more, Joe?
We got one more.
We got one more, guys. Back here somewhere. Who wants to play?
Come on, raise your hand if you want to
All
win
right,
something.
Laura. Hang on, I'm going to come to you after. I got two in my pocket. I'll hook her up. Come here. Don't make me wait on you, Laura. Okay.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit different from the last few. I'm going to give you a listing description. You have to tell me what the house was listed as, okay? This is a tough one. A listing with the following description was viewed by over 2.4 million people within 1 hour of its posting. This mid-century modern bungalow on a spacious zero-maintenance estate in the heart of the booming North Austin tech scene is the perfect home for a struggling startup CEO migrating from California. Just 5 minutes from the Domain, 3 hours to downtown via quick access to I-35, must-waive home inspection, cash-only offers. How much was a property for this description listed for? And these are the 4 options. You're gonna hate me, Laura, because this is a really hard one. Last year.
Get that brain working. Last
Near
year.
outside of Austin last year. You know, I'm gonna go for 3.9 on that one.
3.9?
What did we think?
I was gonna
Oh,
say
Oh,
50.
Joe, you went too fast. You pulled the trigger.
Oh,
You prematurely.
the slides were messed up.
Yeah, but that's not even that wasn't.
It wasn't even there.
the right
Well,
Oh, it wasn't the right one, so we're
No,
okay. We're
yes,
okay.
We're okay.
Okay.
At first, I mean, just because it's outside of Austin, and everybody's moving to Austin area, I want to say 4, but if it's a cash offer, what was to go back? Okay, so it's a bungalow. It doesn't say the acreage. 3 hours downtown. 840. We're gonna go with 840.
840?
840?
What do we think, guys? Are we agreeing? All in favor? Any opposed?
so we're gonna have to give that to you because the multiple choice slide was messed up, but you were closest based off of these. It was 650,000. I do apologize for that, but I got to show you the property because you guys are gonna hate me for this
The
one.
slide- the
It
slide
was
was
literally a
messed
motorhome broken down on the side of the road.
That's what the property was. Look at
This is an actual Zillow listing.
Can you imagine like seeing that and be like, what whiskey tango foxtrot? Something is off.
See, and since we're from that area, I was thinking really hard on that one. That was not. You're right. It's fair.
He tricked you. He tricked you. Go get yourself a hoodie or something. Okay. Joe, I don't think we want to take that stack of hoodies all the way back to the merch booth, do we?
No, I'm too tired and sweating too much from that. So who wants a hoodie?
Well, Mama's going to get some exercise and run around.
We need y'all to be a little bit louder than that. All right, there we go. You gonna throw
All
some?
right,
for
show me some love, guys. I want to see some energy. Now, if you get this and it's not your size, just go switcheroo at the mooch booth. Come on, I want to feel some love. Woo! Come on. One more there. Here we go. Guys, are you ready to get this going? Are you ready to start learning? Hit the tunes, Will. Let's do this. All right, guys, let's get on your feet. Let's bring some love. Are you ready for day 2? Please welcome back Mr. Jared James.
Right. Oh. Morning. There you go. I told my team yesterday was our Benjamin Button day. You guys aged backwards. Like the closing, ton of energy. I've never been asked for, I felt like a concert when you guys were doing one more. I was going to leave the stage, come back, and do one more strategy. But it doesn't have the same effect as a song. It sounds like a great idea, but it has nowhere near the energy. Trust me, it is nowhere near. How many of you came to the networking reception last night? You guys? Awesome, awesome. It was so funny because one person after another would come up, and I'm there doing pictures and doing whatever, and everybody comes over and they say the same thing. They're like, you must hate this. This must be miserable. You're just over here smiling like you're at a wedding, like just one after another. And I understand the sentiment, but at the same time, first world problems, guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? 10, 12 years ago, like that's what you hope to God for, that you have to stand against a wall and smile for 2.5 hours. Because let's face it, what's the alternative? You put on an event and you're standing against the wall awkwardly going, anybody gonna come over here? Like, is this, this is, so that was awesome, guys. I tell you that story just to say that I appreciate you guys. So much more than you know. I appreciate everybody in this room. I've appreciated the interaction that I've gotten to have as I'm walking around, and I've appreciated the feedback that I've gotten from you. I think the thing that made me the most happy about day one is not the stuff that you guys say about my sessions or anything like that. It's what I heard about the breakouts, and I heard from so many of you that you got so much from the breakouts, from the people that came here to serve you guys. So what was your favorite breakout, by the way? YouTube? What's that? The events one? Okay. Social media? Okay. Mastermind, the mastermind what? Yeah, that was so cool. I walked into that room. So I was kind of, you guys probably didn't see, but I was jumping around from breakout to breakout and just kind of like, I just like to stand in the back and get the vibe. And the mastermind one, I walked in and I'm like, I feel like I know everybody in here. And then I was like, oh, I've been in a suite in Vegas with every single person in here. Like that's why. Yeah, exactly. Any other ones? Downsizing. Okay. It's so crazy because, we go through this process of trying to figure out which ones to do, which ones not to do. And there's like a bunch of them that like I was on the fence and I'm like, nah, whatever. And then they're like the ones that everybody's like, that's the one. I love that. So freaking cool. Do we want to start with, I promise, strategy, or do we want to have it say a few words? You guys want to do strategy first? Strategy first, okay. I'm going to do 2 strategies. We'll do 2. Because one of them I talked about with our VIPs, not in full detail, so I'll go into a little bit more detail now. You guys don't mind if we just jump right in, right? Is that all right? We got a full day here, okay? How many of you are staying for closing today? Good. And how many of you are staying tonight? So we'll all have a good time tonight, guys. We're gonna make sure you have your notifications turned on the app. I think we're going to let people know on the app where the team's going to, and for any of you that haven't been here before, we kind of go to the same places. We all hang out together. We have a good time, and we sat in this room for 2 days. I've exerted a lot of energy for 2 days, and then we just go out, have a good time, and hate ourselves tomorrow. Okay, that's actually a true story, okay? So with the VIPs yesterday, I talked about a strategy I want to go over with you guys. If you guys can show that slide really quickly here. Remember, guys, you guys are going to get copies of all of these slides. One of the greatest strategies that you can follow right now, not only to gain a following, I'm going to talk a lot about visibility, especially in the closing, but to gain a following, but to also just have like ultimate visibility in your area and gain a lot of transactions. And we've got people all over this room that have done this, is this strategy right here. If you guys can leave that up there for a little bit, I'll let you know when to take it down. But here's what you're going to do. I'm going to go step by step with you, okay? Here's what you're going to do. Remember how I told you some strategies you pick and choose and it's like maybe I'll do that, whatever? This is not one of those. This is one that every single person in this room needs to do. Okay? In the market we're heading into, in order to be the agent of choice, the agent that is used, what did I say yesterday? I said if a market goes down 20 to 25%, it means 75 to 80% of the transactions of an all-time record market are still happening. Okay? The only question is whether we're getting used or not. Are we the agent of choice? Are we the one that they're thinking of? Are we visible? Are we that? I called it the economy of convenience. Are we the Uber that is closest to the pickup, right? And so how does that happen? Well, here's one major easy way that it can happen, okay? Is what all of you need to do is you need to make a list of all of the different businesses in your area. and they are numerous. It's unlimited. And whether you do it once a week, whether you do it once every 2 weeks, whatever that system's going to be for you, what you're going to do is you're going to start setting up interviews with these. Whether you want to do them Facebook Live, that's a good way to do it. By the way, you got to understand the algorithm on each platform, right? So were any of you on that social media training I did like 2-3 weeks ago? Were any of you on that? Awesome. We had a crap ton of people on that. I don't know if you know that. There was a lot, apparently not in this room, but there was a lot of people. Now, if you notice, I did Facebook Live, whereas I'm usually more active on Instagram. So why'd I do that? Because the algorithm on Facebook pushes live way more than Instagram does. So you have to understand the platforms that you're on, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to make a list of these places, and you're going to schedule whatever you can keep up with, once a week, once every 2 weeks. You're going to do an interview, very simple, with a local business. You're going to talk about something specific from that business, whether it's a new taco at Senor Jose's, whether it's some new, nail treatment that you can get at a salon, whatever it's going to be. And you're going to get them to agree to give away some kind of a gift card for a contest. Okay, now we're going to play the algorithm. So they're going to give away a $100 gift card, a $200 gift card, whatever it is. Because do people like giveaways? Do people like getting free money to local businesses? Yeah. So what you're going to do now is you're going to interview the person about the actual thing that that's going on, the new treatment they're doing, what's going on with the menu, whatever it is. Okay, you're going to have them talk about it. That's step 2. Have them talk about it on this interview. Very simple. The pressure's not on you. You're just asking them what's going on. Anybody so far can't do this? Pretty simple, right? Step 3. You're going to make sure that when you do this, you tag that business. Why? Because who's going to share it? That business. And now all that business's followers locally, we want to be known as the local agent, is going to see who? You're the source. You're the local, and it's your platform that's being shared, right? Step 4, you're going to run a contest on that interview. And the contest is pretty simple. You're going to do a giveaway for a $100 gift card, $200 gift card. By the way, how much is that gift card costing you? 0. You're going to run a contest. And in order to be entered into that contest, they're going to have to make sure they're following you, build your following. They're going to have to make sure they comment below with why they should win and tag someone else who needs to enter, and they need to share it to their people. What did we say yesterday about the algorithm? What matters? Comments, shares, okay? You guys remember when we ran a contest for free tickets here? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and just tag, 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 tag. I gained a ton of followers. We gained a ton of, all for the price of tickets. Works for me, right? And so we're going to make sure that we tell them, hey, we're going to draw the winner on Friday at blank, right? So now they've heard about the business. They're watching the whole thing. They're commenting below. They're following you. They're tagging people who are now also wanting to join in. And what does that do to the algorithm the more they comment? And those people who they tag now start commenting as well. And all these people, what does that do with a local video? What's that do to the algorithm? Right? We have people in this room literally from very small towns that do this on a regular basis. I've been teaching this for years and get thousands and thousands of views on every video because it just snowballs and costs them nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? Now, not only will you say the winner will be announced by, but if you want to take this one step further, pay to promote it. You don't have to, but you could. So now you take that video and you put a $20 budget on it, a $50 budget on it, whatever you want to do. And you literally, so you're not allowed to promote to zip codes, okay, but you can promote to towns and cities. And now that thing is showing up, and all of those people who want to go to that restaurant, all of those people that want to go to that salon, all of those people that want to go to that, whatever the business is, what's happening? All these people who don't know you are engaging with your content, are sharing it to their people, and who's visible through it all? Guys, this thing works like freaking crazy if you do it. It's so simple. And watch what happens when you do. You are going to start getting people reaching out to you on a regular basis going, can I be your next interview? Can I get on the whatever? And you'll get overloaded with people who actually want to start getting interviewed, and you become the source of everything in your community. All of the businesses are connected to you. Everybody sees you all the time. Your branding goes through the roof, and you as a realtor is visible, 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 visible. Who in here can do that? Every one of you can do it. Who in here will do that? Okay, strategy 1. By the way, some of you walked up to me yesterday. I don't know if you're in this room. But I ran into some of you yesterday, and some of you posted that thing about what's your next house going to have that your current one doesn't. And there was a gentleman I was walking with yesterday, and he's like, it was a couple hours after, he's like, I have 87 comments already. He's like, are you serious? Like, he had 87. Another girl came over to me, and she's like, I have 48 comments right now. Like, I have whatever, like, implementation. Okay, implementation on the spot. Now, if you want to take that one step further, look at what I said on step 6 right there. You guys can take that down now, I'm sorry. Whenever you see something that works, like so you put that comment and you say, what's the next one going to have? Your current one does it. Once you see it works, after it's done and it runs out, go promote it, guys. Go pay to promote it to your area. Your business will grow in relation to the number of people who this morning had never heard of you, but by this afternoon have to make a decision about you. You get that? Your business will always grow in correlation to the number of people who this morning had never heard of you, but by this afternoon have to make a decision about you. What's brilliant about the internet, what's brilliant about social, what's brilliant about these places is there's no guessing game on what people react to. So what happens is you take certain posts, you take certain interviews that go, you take certain, and you put them out there organically, and then you say, who's going to win? You throw it out there and you see who wins. And when you see the ones that pop, that just kind of take over, and by the way, guys, none of us know which ones are going to. I put out content sometimes that I'm like, that's going to kill. I'm like, that's a killer. And then like I look at it like a day later and I'm like, what is going on? Like that didn't get nearly what I thought. And then I put out stuff and I'm like, well, consistency's undefeated. I'll just put something out. You got to post with no expectation of return. And I put it out and the next day I'm like, whoa, popped. What I just saw was that that's what people wanted to see. And now I'll take it and I'll go, well, now that I know that, promote. And I'll put money behind it. I'll make sure more people see it. You see how that works? And so there's no guessing game. Let the market determine, what it is they want to see. And then once they determine what it is they want to see, now that you know that that's something that works, go put some money behind it. Go promote it, okay? Can you all do that? Another strategy I heard from somebody in here yesterday, which I love, that I told them I'd share with you. I shared the investor strategy. I shared the instant offer strategy. They said what they're doing, which I thought was brilliant. They're partnering with investors in the area. You know those investors that do, we buy ugly houses and all that stuff? This made so much sense. I'm mad at myself for not thinking of it. So what they did, we said that 91% of people want an instant offer, but less than 1% ever take it, right? And I said investors make offers on regular basis. They make offer, and they know it's a numbers game. Most are not going to get accepted. So what happens when they make those offers, those investors? And now those places don't go with the investor, they go traditional, right? So they partnered with these ugly house people and said, hey, when you make your offers, they're not accepted, pass them over to me for a traditional sale, and I'll give you a 25% referral fee. That's brilliant. Like, I was like, why did I not think of that? Like, I hate myself right now. I feel like I heard the other day Taylor Swift was mad at herself about a song somebody else wrote, and she's like, why didn't I write that? And I felt like Taylor Swift at that moment. I know, yeah. But guys, that's, again, look at that cross-pollination there. Like we talked about, what you're doing with investors, and you've got how much more of a relationship do you have when you're doing the instant offer with them, but then you're also reciprocating and you're saying, hey, by the way, all the stuff that you do too, why don't you benefit off of that? They're not accepting your offers most of the time. Send them over to me, 25% referral. Who can't do that? You guys in for that? It's way better than you're giving it credit for. Okay, she said, can you repeat that again? So we said yesterday, I talked about instant offers, and I said partner with other investors and get them, 3 to 5 of them, that every time you go into a property, within 24 hours, they will give an offer, and now you can tell people you're giving them an instant offer. 99.5% of the time they don't take it. Now you just take the traditional sale, right? The flip side, those investors are marketing. They spend a lot of money marketing. And you see all the signs, you see all the stuff. We buy ugly houses. We do, right? You guys seen these things, right? They know that all that marketing they do, it's all numbers. They're putting in offer after offer after offer after offer, right? So what happens with all of those offers that don't get accepted, that they marketed to get in front of them? They just move on to the next, move on to the next. But what happens to that potential seller once they move on to the next? What do? They go sell their home. So now the investor has a reason, an incentive, to when that person says, no, I can't take that offer, go, well, are you going to go traditional? If you're gonna go traditional, the best agent around is Jared James. Like, you gotta go, whatever. And now I make a deal with them and I say, when you do that and you pass me those people who didn't work with you 99.5% of the time, here's a 25% referral fee. You can still make money on the marketing dollars you put into doing this. Brilliant. Did you have a question? Yep. You're assuming, by the way, they're licensed. Yeah, most of them are licensed, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I worked with a ton of almost all of them are licensed. Yeah, okay. All right. That's another one, guys. That's fantastic. Like, you need to start, especially in a market like we're in, you need to start working with investors, okay? One last thing I'm gonna say before I bring out Abra. I'm always kind of like playing in my head right now, like, because I hear so many things you guys are saying, and like I'm in that line for hours and I'm just listening to you guys and I'm trying to hear like what's the things that people are thinking and whatever. And one of the things I kept hearing from people yesterday was this idea of balance. It's like I know a lot of you related to like Reagan's session she was doing, and there's just this struggle that goes on, right? Because we are entrepreneurs. And we live in a world that is becoming more friendly to entrepreneurs, but still is not made for entrepreneurs. Meaning, we have it's like this unwritten guilt that constantly hits us about, why aren't you here? Why aren't you going there? You're working right now. You're doing, whatever. And it's such a weird feeling because we're created a little differently. We're not 9 to 5 people. And then we live in a world that, like anything outside of that, everybody's always trying to push you back into normalcy. It's like, well, why don't whatever. And I wanted to just kind of share with you guys really quickly, like, my thoughts on that. I'm a big believer that, first off, let's just be clear, there's no such thing as balance. No such thing. A factory worker is not balanced. If you look at the amount of hours they go to work and then they come home and hang out with the kids, not balanced. Doesn't equal out. So we are chasing something that literally does not exist. What each and every one of you need to figure out in your head, and this is how I think of it, is we're all just kind of like figuring out how fast we can hit that turn and the acceleration and deceleration that it takes to not go off the road, and that's different for everybody because we're all driving different cars, and we all have different skill sets, and we all have different gifts, and we all have different callings, and we all have different, so I'm driving a different car than you are. And you might be able to hit that corner faster than me with the set of skills you have, and I might be able to hit it fast. I don't know. But this idea that we're all just driving the same car trying to hit balance, that's not how I look at it at all. I look at it like we're all trying to figure out how fast can we hit that corner without sliding off the edge. And it's a constant pump of the gas, pump of the brakes, acceleration, deceleration. How do I get the most out of myself and what I've been given without going off the road? And as long as you're willing to continue that acceleration, deceleration, ask the question and hold yourself accountable, you're probably still okay and in a good place. The moment you don't care anymore, you're probably not in a good place. I'll talk about this later today, but I'm a big believer that when you're not willing to ask yourself tough questions anymore, you're probably not in a good place anymore because you don't want to know the answers, right? That's like the definition of self-deception, okay? So there's my feelings on balance for you guys. There's my session that we didn't have on here, but that gives you a little cliff notes on how I feel about that, all right? You guys ready for the next session, the next interview? I'm particularly excited about this one, guys. We called this business versus busyness, B-U-S-I, business versus busyness, B-U-S-Y, and I think a lot of you are really going to relate to this. Abra's somebody who I've literally known for years. She's been in our program for years, and I've watched her go from, control freak to less of a control freak over the course of those years, and you don't know what I mean when she comes out here. Guys, do me a favor and give her a nice day 2 morning session greeting to Miss Abra Palermo.
Less of a control freak.
You ready? Let's move this back. All right. Here, let's move these up. Let's get close. Let's get close to people. Oh, all right. Good morning. All right. You got to turn it on, or is it working?
Maybe.
Yesterday we had
There
to
we
turn it
go.
on.
All right.
All right, let's take a moment here and just kind of tell everybody who you are, where you come from, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Oh gosh, born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, but I've lived in Northern Illinois for 25 years. Many of you don't know my past. I tell people all the time like I had a past career, but I don't know if you've been in real estate 25 years. Is there a past career? So I come from marketing and retail and things like that. But I was raised by a single mother. I remember when I was young asking my mom for something, and you know when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, Mom, just, you know, can you buy me this? Can you buy me this? And she's like, no, I can't do that right now. And I said, just write a check. And I didn't understand that there needed to be money in the bank. So, because I was raised in a very poor family, single mother, never knew my dad, had her parents who also helped raise me, so I'm very close to my grandparents. Just crazy that, you know, you come from things like that. It was like listening to Cisco yesterday talk about,
Yeah.
you know, you never thought about what money you were going to make. I never dreamed of making like X amount or whatever. It was just go get a job, work. I've been working since I was 17 years old. Been on my own since I was 17 years old.
You've been on your own since you were 17 years old?
Yes.
Explain that. Like,
Found out I was pregnant at 17 years old. I was living in an apartment and fell asleep one evening, felt nauseous, didn't feel good, ended up kind of partially passing out, ended up getting taken to the hospital because I had carbon monoxide poisoning. And if I had been there any longer, I would not be here today. I ended up spending the next 24 hours in a hyperbaric chamber, and that's when they told me that I was pregnant. And they came in and said, did you know you were pregnant? And I was like, no. Had no idea.
oh my God.
So 7 months later, I had a baby girl.
Holy crap. Okay. All right. So how do you go from that? When do you actually get into real estate, and what makes you do that? Like what happened for that?
So I moved to Illinois. My ex-husband and I moved to Illinois, and when I moved there, I didn't have to work, but I had come from a chamber of commerce, and so I took a job with the chamber of commerce. Thought, okay, this will be great. And it was a way different chamber of commerce than what I came from. So a friend of the family said she knows this gal that owns a real estate office, small independent office. She was 70-something. She was the big name in town,
Yeah.
had all the agents, had the market share. And I just went to her and said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just don't want to be bored. They laughed at me. I had no idea. So got into real estate, just started as admin, front office, you know, learned all the back behind the
So
scenes.
you started not even selling real estate.
Oh, not even selling real estate.
Which,
no.
by the way, doesn't surprise me because you're a spreadsheet person. like you're that person. Okay, so that doesn't surprise me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, do you remember the t-shirt I sent you that my team bought me?
What was the T-shirt? I'll know when you say it.
You're gonna die.
What was it? Oh, I thought you meant it said you're gonna die. I was like,
No.
well, that's probably.
No.
My team probably hid that from me and blocked you. To be honest.
It says I'm a
It's not the way to get through, guys.
Yeah.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
that's not the merch we're looking for.
It's not the merch.
You're gonna die.
It says I'm a lady in the streets, but a freak in the spreadsheets. And they're not kidding. They're all nodding their head over here.
You know, I might have mischaracterized you. I'm not gonna lie. The outfit and everything. I was like, this is some good wholesome Midwest stuff going on here. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well,
You won't be disappointed. I did not wear the shirt. Just so you guys know, I never wore the shirt. Okay. Another Photoshop opportunity.
he needs one too.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, so you start as an admin.
So yeah, and I started in real estate when there were books and we had keys.
Oh God.
And we didn't have a website. Like I worked for this small brokerage and she didn't have a website, nothing. And this was 1998. And
You talking about like an MLS book?
yeah,
Do you guys remember those MLS books?
we had phone books.
Yeah, you guys think Zillow's inaccurate, okay? Try walking around with an MLS book that you have to stretch
this
to
thick.
carry.
And it was a week outdated by the time it was
That's
printed.
what I said. If you think that's outdated, try working in those days. I
Yeah.
remember I didn't work in the industry. I was my mother's unpaid assistant, but I remember, yeah.
Right.
Thing carried me.
Yeah, so I started in the admin, learned all of that behind the scenes, pushed her to get into a website, and we need to get a website. Oh, no, we don't. No, we don't. You're crazy. You
Yeah.
know, all this. Then I went into sales manager, and one of the other trainers and I started talking to her about like her exit strategy. What's her plan? What's what's she gonna do? Because I was kind of capping out. Like I had nowhere else to go, right? So I got my license, and she said, "Oh, you can help me. You can get your license, and you can do open houses for me, and you can be my assistant, and all that stuff." And so I did that. It was great. But then I started watching. I'd get the calls from the people. Why won't she call me back? Why hasn't my house sold?
Yeah.
And I'm watching what these people are making, and I'm watching how they're running their business, and I'm like, there's gotta be a better way.
Yeah.
Like, this is just not okay. These people are dealing with the most expensive, most stressful thing in their life. So finally, in 2001, I said, okay, and the other thing when I first started with her was, as a single mom, I'm like, my daughter, I need to take her sometimes to go to her dad's on a Friday afternoon, or she's got a school event, I need to be able to take off. This is my priority. She's my only. And she said, oh, no problem, no problem. Well, you know how that goes.
Yeah, right. Freedom of schedule.
Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Oh, but I need you to do this. No, I gotta leave. No, you gotta. So it just became more and more of a struggle of trying to take the time off, or get away or leave to take my daughter to do whatever. So I just said, I can't do this. Like, she was 9, 10, 11 years old. This is the time when she's busiest and most active, and I wanted to be there. And so 2001, I made the leap and said, okay, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go sell on my own. I went to a franchise company that had training and had stuff, because she had no training. Her training was osmosis. I could follow her around. That was it. There was no training program. I remember one agent coming to me at one point when I was still with her and said, oh, I got my license. What do I do now? Like, I'm not your broker. I don't have any idea.
Yeah. So then how did that's 2001. How did you and I get connected, and when was that?
Yeah, so I sold real estate from 2001 to 2006. The franchise I worked for sold that franchise. I decided to go become a franchise owner myself.
Okay.
2006 to 2014. Worked with a couple different franchises, decided that I wanted to start. I'd worked with a couple other coaching companies, was trying to figure out what.
How many coaching companies?
Three,
I'm actually here. Okay.
Three other coaching companies. I won't name names.
You don't have to. I'm just curious. Yeah.
So 3 other coaching companies, different times. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Maybe a year, maybe 2, nothing exciting. So 2014, I decided I wanted to start figuring out how I'm going to transition someday to hire other people, to go from running an office to being able to transition out of running that office or that team. And the franchise I was with in 2016 had Jared come and speak in this little bitty room. I'm telling you, like, there were 4 rows in the room, and like, he's over in this sideshow,
I'm trying to remember what that was.
He was wearing a suit.
God. This is never going to leave me. This is never going to leave me. Yeah.
No, and I sat on the floor. The room was so packed. I mean, we were standing against the wall.
I feel better
sitting
now.
on
I feel
the
better now.
floor
I'm not gonna lie, I
in the
feel better
front
now.
row. It was packed. And it's just like so many of you have said, it's like he was talking about me. It's like talking about your social media, and you're talking about, you need to do this, things he still talks about today. And it was like, oh my gosh, this guy's talking my language. And it was literally like he was looking at me saying that.
There's only 4 of you in the room, to be
No,
fair.
there were not. There were not.
Yeah.
And so I started watching his YouTube, started watching, following the free, we did the monthly free coaching where you get it was $100 a month or whatever back
Free
then.
to you, they probably paid for it. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
company paid for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
Free to you, yeah.
It's free to me.
Yeah.
And so I started downloading all the blueprint and all this stuff, and following the things. And I remember after the session, I was asking him about the social media stuff, because I thought I had a really good social media. I was like, thought I was killing it. And Jared was like, well, the posts are pretty good. You've got some comments, but your picture's not in it. I'm like, nobody needs to see my face. He's like, everybody everybody needs to see your face. I'm like, no, they don't. They don't need to see me, not at all.
Real estate doesn't need more branding. Everybody knows what real estate is. Like, it doesn't need more. Like, and by the way, guys, that's a quick point for a lot of you. A lot of times when a lot of you will follow me or you'll comment or whatever, like if I have time, I'll literally click and I go and I look because I like to keep an eye on like what's happening here. So many of you, when I go to your profiles, it's just houses and like all the, and I'm just going, great, so we're branding real estate. So if you leave, nobody even knows the difference. Like there's no, real estate doesn't need branding, you do. Like they need to know who you are. And I know a lot of you stay away from that, but you need to go start looking at your profiles and like, what is it that I'm pushing here? Because if you stop doing it, nobody would know the difference.
Right. Well, and I had started during the whole foreclosure crisis taking pictures of the weird things we see in houses. Because every time I'd go show a house, have you guys ever had anybody ask you, do you watch HGTV? And I'm like, no, because that is not my real world. That is not what I deal with on a daily basis. So here, look at some of the crazy crap that I see on a daily basis. So I started with that. So I did have,
That's a good idea.
thought, a decent following until Jared was like, no. And then he's, of course, you know what the next thing he told me was? Do video. I'm like, no way. Nobody likes to listen to me. I don't want to hear myself talk.
Who does? Yeah, I don't.
So, no, and please no.
So then where do we go from there? So we met. I
fall of
immediately
20
told you what you're doing wrong. That's all I heard. And then where do we go from there? So you eventually became a student.
Yeah, well, this was fall of 2016.
Okay.
I went to the Advance in 2017 in
Okay.
San Antonio. It was February in 2017 in San Antonio. Was like, okay, I'm signing up for coaching. This is amazing. All right. I went home and a week later had a car wreck that was so major I almost didn't survive. I was in the hospital for 6 days with a chest tube in, broken ribs, broken collarbone, and a concussion so bad I could not, like the whole world would move around me. I couldn't lay flat, I couldn't bend over, I couldn't look down at the kitchen sink. Didn't realize how sick I was at the moment. Many of my team at that time, well, there's one that's still with me after all these years, said he didn't even think I was going to come back to working full time, let alone come back to real estate. So, and I could hear Jared in my head as I'm sitting in the hospital trying to work, that if your business stops because you do, then you're not running a business. Well, I thought I had my stuff together. I did not. There was so much stuff that was in my head and was not down on paper somewhere, was not in a checklist. Somebody's phone number wasn't written down, so somebody else didn't even know how to contact them. And I'm the spreadsheets girl.
Yeah.
I'm the organized one. Like, I thought I had my stuff together. And I'm laying there in the hospital bed and work is stopping because, and I had a buyer's agent because, you know, I went and did it all wrong and hired a buyer's agent first because, you know, yeah, you know, because
Yeah.
that's what you do, right? That's what you think you do. So I'm laying there in the hospital bed trying to get closings that are supposed to be happening that week and trying to keep things going. And I'm like, I can't even stand up in the bed, from the bed, because every time they'd stand me up, I'd pass out from the imbalance of the fluid in my lungs. So that was very eye-opening when your world literally stops. That's my only stream of income. There's no other place money's coming from. Thankfully, I'm a planner and I had money put away, but I did not work for 6 months. May, they finally diagnosed how bad my concussion was and I had to go through a special therapy. June, I was still going through therapy for my shoulder because my collarbone wouldn't fuse. July, I tried. I had a past client's daughter, who's the mayor of our community, wanted to buy her first house. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. I walked into the house and I looked up at the corner and the whole house moved. And I went, okay, I can't be here. I can't do this.
Wow.
So went home and went, all right, more therapy, more whatever, more therapy, more therapy. August, I tried again. And in that time, somewhere in there, Jared had announced he was doing a mastermind. And I called and asked for an interview.
Some of this I don't even know, by the way, guys. I'm hearing this too, so.
Yeah, I called and asked for an interview. And you know, Jared, he always says you got to come from a place of financial stability. You know, he doesn't want you coming to these things and, you know, spending thousands of dollars. And I said, Jared, I'm not coming from a place of financial stability. I'm going to take money out of my investment to do this, but I feel like I'm starting over. I have not worked for 6 months. I'd done it all wrong. Everything. Like, people literally, when I started back, I saw one agent and they're like, oh, I thought you retired or moved out of the area. I'm like, so I was truly, completely starting over. He let me come to the advance. It's a mastermind, excuse me. And it was so eye-opening. That was when you and Mark Manahal were doing it. And it was so eye-opening on how to build the team, how I had started wrong, and, you know, started, okay, what do I need to do? So I did that for the fall of 2017, started kind of putting things back together. 2018 was really my comeback year of, okay, I'm going to start building my business again. And this is, I got licensed in 1999, and this is 2018, and I'm starting over.
The car accident made you completely stop. It was like once you weren't able to service people, you weren't available, everything just went to a complete halt.
Everything went
and
to
you
a
realized, like I said yesterday, you didn't have a career, you had a hobby.
I had a hobby.
There wasn't a business there.
Very expensive hobby.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was very involved in the community. I do community events every month. I'd be in, you know, so I was very visible and very involved in my community. And so when you stop that and you are the brand, you are the face, you are everything, what happens? Nothing. Nobody's going to call. Because why would they? They think you're gone. They think you're retired. So 2018, started trying to kind of build the team. Hired my first transaction coordinator, who's still with me today and here today. Thank God for her. Met her actually through Jared's coaching group. I posted online about what a struggle I'd had because I'd hired like a VA and that went bad, and I'd hired this, and I was like, help, anybody, help, suggestions, anyone. And she happened to reach out. She used to run a team, and her mother had been sick, and so she'd stepped back, and then her mother passed, and she was thinking about coming back, and she's like, can I do this virtually? She lives in Ohio, by the way. I'm in Illinois. I said, absolutely. I'm techie. I'm good with that.
Figure it out, yeah.
We'll figure it. It's figure-outable, as Regan says.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no problem. I'm all online. That's good. So that was the start of, then in 2019, I started one-on-one coaching as a student. And so I kind of took that 2018 to try and like build
That's so interesting.
something.
So 2017 was mastermind. 2018, you're out there figuring it out. 2019, you said, I'm getting a coach.
Yep, I'm
Okay,
getting a
got it.
coach because I was originally going to get a coach in 2017, and
Right,
then
and then-
my whole
yeah.
world blew up. So I had money again. I had income coming in by 2018. Was like, okay, I can do this. Still not a lot of income. I still had nowhere paid back all my debt, but was okay. I'm going to do this. It was worth it. I needed somebody to help me keep this going and build it right, because I had built it, burnt it down, build it, burnt it down so many times. So called, that was when Donna was still with you. Did an interview, got a coach, had a great coach. But there's coaches for seasons. I have people who I've talked to here and people I've met, and they're like, oh, I have this coach, and you know, but it's not the greatest or whatever. Well, then it's time for a new coach. Like, there's different coaches for different
seasons.
times in your life and different times in your career, and you get something out of different ones. So I know Owen is still here. I don't know if Owen's in the room. Hi, Owen. He was my first coach. You know, they all have their benefits. And the thing is, like, you need somebody to, Charles, where are you, Charles? We talk and he writes down the list. I'll mention, well, I've been thinking about working on blah, blah, blah. He'll write it down, and then next time he's like, did you do blah, blah, blah? Charles, I meant like I was going to work on that next year, not next week. Like, be careful what you say.
Yeah. All right, great. So you've had that experience where you went from, and okay, so tell me about your experience now, because have you had any struggles with, like, what's the team look like? Are you still selling? Are you not selling? Like, what's the structure? Like, what's everything look like now?
Oh, there's always struggles. I mean, I remember you telling us if we weren't coming up with new challenges, I'm not doing my job.
Your job is to create new problems.
Well, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So,
That's,
I this year am finally selling about half of what I used to. But then I suddenly went, where's the money in the bank? Because who's going to pay me? The heck? Like, where's that coming from? So, you know, that's scary. It's, you know, when it doesn't scare me anymore to turn my business over. I've been slowly over the years like, okay, please take that person. Please take that person. Please take that person. But I still work with some of my own past clients, people I've known for 20 some years. But even a lot of those, I'll have one of the other agents go with me on an appointment so they know that, okay, if I'm gone, so-and-so. The biggest thing after my car wreck was I now take a week off every month. Let me say that again, a week every month.
like an actual off, like you're off.
Yes. Well, sometimes I'll work for an hour or two a day, but I'll work for an hour or two and then I'm whatever.
What do you do with that week? Do you are you away? Are you home? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm never home, because if I'm home, I'll take appointments.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Well, first I was spending a lot of time with family. My grandmother was 97. I just lost my last grandparent, and so I spent a lot of time the last couple of years with her.
Okay.
She's in Kansas City, and so I'd go down there, be here for a week. I always, if you go to a conference, people take an extra day off. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. You're going to be gone 3 days or 10 days. It makes no difference how crazy you are going back. Take a day to regroup, recover, catch up, take a breath. Please. So this kind of thing, I try and I do once a year, go to the beach somewhere.
You realized you were
refuel.
missing that. Like you realized like that's got to be, if you're going to create structure, you're like, I need to be able to take advantage of this.
I need to refuel, so I'm naturally an introvert. Yes, people, it is like very difficult being up here. And I'm also an only child, so I know that I need me time. So I need to refuel somehow. So I work my butt off when I'm home, but then I don't work much when I'm gone. So if you add up how many hours I actually work, probably all balances out.
How do you said something to me backstage that I thought was so cool and made me so happy, which was you talked about the benefit of each one of your coaches, and you talked about the masterminds, you talked about all this stuff, but you said that like one of the most beneficial things to you wasn't just those individual coaches, whatever, community. Like, can you talk a little bit about what you were telling me backstage?
Yeah, so, you know, you guys, people say it all the time, but it is true. The most important thing is the people in this room. Like, you'll get more nuggets from the people you're sitting next to or you're networking with or you had dinner with or whatever. And I've literally met all of my best friends at different real estate conferences all over the country. You know, they get you. We're a little different, right? I mean, you know, your normal friends don't get this. They don't
Right.
get the hours you work. They don't get what we do. So my real estate best friends are my ride or die, you know, people. They get it.
They're your community.
And the other thing is, like, from the masterminds, they've been my guinea pigs. I mean, so a year and a half ago at the mastermind, I'm starting to think about, okay, exit strategy. I'm starting to think about, you know, where's that income going to come in if I don't go see a client, you know, whatever. And there's Rick Fuller telling us to go open up ancillary businesses. What? You want me to run more businesses? I don't have time to run this one. What are you talking about? And who's going to invent the wheel? Like, I don't know anything about mortgage and insurance
So
and
tell them about this. Tell them
title
what you mean. So through the community, through going to the masterminds, through going to, like, it feels like every time you go, you're like picking up new things. Like,
Yes.
you're like, shoot, well, now I need to do that. Well, shoot, okay, now I'm in a different place, I'm going to do that.
Yes.
Tell them what you did
Well, so I talked about going to the mastermind in 2017, coming from a place of literally starting over. Then I went to the mastermind again in 2022. Whole different setting. You're in a different place in your career. So suddenly I'm at, if you saw Rick Fuller's stages of the team, I was at stage 2, maybe 2.5 when I went in 2022. And so you're sitting in a different place. 2017, I was like -3, I think. And so in 2022, you're sitting there going, okay, this is doable. I can get there. Like we can get to the next level. We can get to the next level. And then Rick starts throwing out, open another business. And it's, what? You want me to open another business? But then he talks about there's businesses that you're literally franchising. It's cookie cutter. You're taking the model and you're just bringing it into your business, and you're utilizing, you have a database of 9,000 people in our database. So you're using that database to then market to the insurance business or the mortgage business or whatever it is. Mine ended up being insurance. So that was April of 2022. Then I came to the Advance last year in October. And again, Rick does a session on ancillary businesses, and I don't know, the light bulb went on. He starts talking about insurance again. And I have this past client who's bought 4 houses from me, 20-year client, bought and sold. She's worked in an insurance office for 9 years and hated it, hated the office. I've tried to recruit her into real estate for the last 9 years. She kept saying no, 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 no. Finally, I left the Advance. Actually, I hadn't even left. I called her the next day on my refresh day and said, we need to set up a time to get together. When can we meet? She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I got this exciting idea. I just want to talk to you. I didn't even want to tell her about it over the phone. Didn't want her to start thinking about it. Didn't want her to start telling me no. Didn't want her to start telling me why she couldn't do it. And so we set up a meeting, got together with her the next week, and told her that I had this idea for starting an insurance business. And she said, well, I'm kind of interested, but it kind of scares me because this is a startup. And I'm like, okay. So she went home, she called me back, said, let's talk. She had a whole bunch of questions, and she finally looked at me and she says, if it wasn't you, she says, I wouldn't do it. But with you, she's like, I trust that you believe in this and you have the stuff behind the scenes and everything put together that you're gonna do this. You're not just like winging it or throwing some spaghetti at the wall, as my family would say. So that was November, December. January, I brought her on. February, we started an insurance business this year.
So explain what that means. Almost everybody in here, when they're going through a transaction, is referring their people onto an insurance agent and getting nothing from that. It's just basically all they do is make money on commissions. Yep. That's it. Well, you had an interesting comment about that too, but just explain what that means.
The biggest thing is you have all these mortgage brokers that want your business all the time. I called a couple of my favorite mortgage brokers and said, hey, I'm starting an insurance business. Will you give my people a chance? That's it. So they get a chance. They just get to be one of the calls. And then we bought a book of business. We did go with a franchise model, so they have the systems, they have the checklist, they have the companies already, you know, the brands. I'm not going to name all the brands, but there's like 20 of them, so they have their pick of, you know, so they're an insurance broker. Yeah. So, you know, but I was telling, so we have our mastermind group that gets together yesterday, and so Rick was asking all of us where we were, and I said, Rick, I said, I got to tell you, I said, you know, when we were at the mastermind, Jared used this quote, and I said, it stuck with me. I said, I don't have to be just this glorified stripper on the pole anymore.
You should probably explain the comment. you should. I believe when we were in the mastermind, I said, we were in Vegas to be clear, I said, if the only way you're making money is by commissions, then you're a highly paid Las Vegas stripper.
You are.
Meaning, you got to do the deed to get the money.
Think about it.
That was the point, okay? Yeah, so you then took that and said, I'm no longer a glorified stripper, which means you're now what? The pimp? Like, what are you now? What would that make you?
I own the club,
You own the club. Oh, there you go. Little context.
But when you stop and think about it, that analogy sticks in your head, right?
That's why we use it.
The next time you
Stevie
go,
Wonder.
the next time you go collect that commission check, you're gonna think about.
Guys, but don't miss sight of what we're saying right. Don't miss sight, Stevie Wonder. Don't miss sight of what we're saying right now. Like the point that we're trying to get across to you is you're all in here giving out all this business, doing all whatever, and she's there at one point. Career ends. It's like, I think I'm over. I don't even know, whatever. Then it's like, all right, I'm rebuilding. And then it's like, okay, well, how do I get a TC? And then it's like, remember I said yesterday, one of the worst things you can do is make future decisions from the place you're at right now, right? So then she grows and builds and then gets to a place where I'm like, well, I'm there now. And then she goes to another mastermind and she's like, well, I'm not there yet. Like I need to, and while all of you are out there giving out all this business, doing whatever, it's funny, but it's not, she's owning the club. She's going, yeah, all my people are doing this anyway. You mean there's a way that I can actually be making money on this and I can own the, what's happening here? And so the point that I want you all to get from that is that there are levels to this stuff, right? There's always another level from where you are to where you want to go. And all of your mentalities in here, all of your mindset in here, I've said for years, many of you have followed me for many years, and I look at this business from the place of an entrepreneur, right? Not just a salesperson just doing another deal, another deal, another deal. All of you have to start to raise your mentality, even if it's not going to be in 2 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, but you need to get on the track to where you own the club. That's where the real success is. Does that make sense?
And it's also about life, like Rick was talking about yesterday. There's no balance. But why are you making that paycheck? What's it for? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're miserable when you go home or you don't go home or your kids are miserable or your family's miserable or your friends are miserable or who was it? Where's Michelle in the room? She hadn't taken a vacation and I can't tell you how long. And a year and a half ago at the mastermind, she's like, I'm not hiring an assistant. I'm not hiring a TC. I'm not running a team. She would go to dinners, fancy dinners, and she'd bring out her laptop. I'm like, Michelle, what are you doing? Like, this is not, nobody's gonna die and you need to enjoy life. And, cause let me tell you, she went on vacation. She went on her first vacation. And she told her team that if you lose business, I don't care because I'm on vacation. Unless you're dying, don't call me. Guys, like, that's what it's about. You should not be, I've twice in my life now, I'm like checking off the 9 lives. Jared might not love cats, but I'm like.
This is what I'm gonna get known for. I want every cat to have a good life, that's all I'm saying. Just stay away from me, that's all.
But life is short is not a joke. It is not a saying you put on the wall. Like people, I came out of that car wreck and went, what am I doing this for? Why? And also seeing my team grow now, seeing them create, make their dreams happen or get to their goals or be able to do the things they want to do or take a cruise or whatever it is. Like my payroll now is more than I ever dreamed of making. I never even thought I would make those figures. And now that's my budget.
That's awesome.
It's
Clap that up.
It's very eye-opening and very humbling when you come from that. I left that desk job at $25,000 a year and was like, there's just got to be more. There's just got to be more. It wasn't about the dollar amount. It was about more in life, more in helping people, more service to the customers that, weren't getting serviced. It wasn't about the paycheck. I never had a dream of, I gotta make $100,000. I gotta make whatever. And now I make more than that and it's not even a thought. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any final thoughts, any final advice, any final, anything final you want to say for everybody?
Do the videos, guys. I have, I lost my words. I have people that have come to me from team members to clients. It is no longer an interview. They know you and they love you because they already know you.
That's exactly right.
and we don't like the way we look, record them, hold my phone up, put it on a tripod, whatever, record it, post it. Don't watch it. Do not watch it. Just upload it and be done.
I was gonna say that's the best advice.
Right.
Don't watch
Your
it.
people will love you, and the people that don't, it's okay. They don't love you, you don't want to work with them. Please, just do it.
Great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones.
Absolutely. And I literally have 2 people sitting in the room who are part of my team because they watched videos of me, and they are like ride or die part of our team now because they were like, I want to be a part of this. I like what you're about. I like you. I like your energy, whatever it is. And the people who aren't, they're not going to call me, and that's quite okay.
That's awesome. Guys, one more time, Aubrey Palermo right here. Nice job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, guys, give her a nice round of applause. That's. I love that. I love that. Don't watch it. Anybody get something from that? Don't watch it, you know? Guys, what I loved about that is obviously great story, great, you know, but as I'm listening to her, I'm thinking to myself, how many of you, like when she's talking about all of a sudden I have a car wreck, they call it an accident because it wasn't supposed to happen, right? And she's like, I don't have a business. And now, great, I get to be in her head now like a jerk, you know, in the hospital going, well, Jared, I remember Jared, and like, this is real. How many of you, when she said that, were thinking to yourself, crap, do I have a business? How many would be worried if you got into a car wreck, you couldn't work for 6 months? How many of you would be worried about your business? And then, guys, that's just real. Like, this isn't like to put you down, this isn't to whatever, it's just real. Like, we have 2 days with you here, so we gotta kind of like, we gotta hit you a little bit here, right? Like, that's real. If you're gonna be down for 6 months and not have a business, we don't have a business, we have a hobby, right? But here's the good news. You're in this room, which means you have the ability to start making some changes. You have the ability to start saying, not what's the final, you heard what she said, it was just like I said yesterday. She said, my budget is bigger than what I thought I'd ever make. I love when I hear that. I'm like, guys, that's investment versus spend. That's investment versus spend, right? And so when you guys are listening to this stuff, it needs to more than inspire you. It needs to more than be like, that's awesome, like, oh, good for her, right? You need to listen to it, you need to relate to it, and you don't need to say, I need to be doing that with it, but what's my next step? What's the next thing I need to be doing? Because I need to look up a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and not say, you know, hey, if I go down in a car accident, you know, for 6 months, I'm still gonna have a business, but more importantly, that's not gonna happen to me, let's hope. But I'm gonna have the ability to be able to do some other things and be able to enjoy my life and be able to and still have that business, right? Like we talked about with Reagan, our director, moving to Mexico while she still has her team going and doing whatever. Like that stuff is not just some 4-hour work week book stuff, guys. Like that's legitimate. That's every bit of it's possible. And the biggest thing standing in your way is you. It's you. Because you gotta do it, and you gotta. And I understand, guys, I really do. You know, there's a part of me that's more controlling than anybody in here. But it's funny because I said this to someone yesterday, it's like the very thing that got most of you to a place of success in real estate, that drive, that control, that thing that gets you here is the exact thing that keeps you from going here. It's this crazy thing. That drive is what gets you here. That drive is the same thing that keeps you from going to the next place. Okay? So as you're listening today and you're listening to these sessions, you just need to be looking at what's the next? What's the next? Because it's just one on top of another. One of the things I love is that anything can be built overnight, can be torn down overnight. We're not building overnight. No one's going to leave here and by the time you go back, it's done. Slow and steady. Because slow and steady can't be torn down. So that's a good thing. That's what we want. Does that make sense? Awesome. Yes. Did you have a question? Go for it. Okay. Okay. You go, okay. I'll repeat, by the way, guys. Go ahead.
One thing I think that's really important that I can't emphasize enough, everybody can relate to.
She works with Aubrey. She says the one thing that's really important that she can't stress enough.
When she started over, and we were using Google Spreadsheets.
Here, you know what? Here. Come here. I feel like a sign language person up here. think this is the right mic. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say. Go ahead.
I'll just put my head on your shoulder.
Oh, my
Um,
God. I mean, I'm here now.
the, I'm ready. Nah, just kidding.
Are you?
No, not really. When I first, I was the hire that she made when she first, after she had her accident. Don't give up. Don't give up. And I'm telling you, when I first started working with her, we were using Google spreadsheets. She's one of the most beautiful people you'll ever meet in your life, so if you have a chance to talk to her, please do. She's amazing. And I'm telling you, this group of ladies here could not love that woman more than we do. And I'll tell you what, when you treat people the way she treats you, this group of women will go to hell and back to help that lady do whatever she needs. But I'm just saying, she started over. Don't give up. Because what we did, you know that roadmap that you guys have, the steps? We literally sat there and looked at the different things, and we would laugh, okay, we haven't gotten to one yet. And then you know what? We were going and going and going. She is amazing, and we all wanted to help her because it all helped us. So don't give up and don't be afraid. Follow. He's giving you the roadmap, guys. Don't be afraid. It's important.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. That ends the advance. There's a coaching booth outside and over here. Jeez. We got to move on, but thank you. I wouldn't normally just jump down and do that. That's not planned, but I think that's just great for everybody to hear. That's awesome. And honestly, to have somebody, this is why I have these people up here, to have her team speak like that about her, that's awesome. That's just, that's everything. That's the whole reason I bring you up here. All right. We got to move on now. All right. Our next session, we're going to talk about your schedule. Anybody want to get your schedule under control? All right, we're going to talk about your perfect work week. We have one of our amazing coaches who's with us newer in the last year here, Jason Will, who has a heart for training. The guy is amazing. He's a broker owner of Jason Will Real Estate in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Guys, please give a day 2 morning welcome to Mr. Jason Will. Go get him.
So this is like the last place I think on earth I really want to be right here. So you've heard people say they're introverted. There's probably not a bigger introvert in the room. I graduated from Auburn University by the skin of my teeth. There is a required public speaking elective, and I was terrified. I just told them I couldn't do it. And they're like, you have to do it or you're not going to graduate. Well, I made up some story. I didn't end up taking the class. But I like fake cancer diagnosis. It was really bad. I'm not proud of it. But I texted my kids last night, and I was like, one of the coaches took a picture of all the room packed out, and I was more of y'all over this morning and not show up. But Justin said, just picture me naked back there. So I'm going to be picturing Justin naked the whole time. And I'm liking what I'm seeing, Justin. That's looking pretty good. But I was like, I showed him the picture of the room, and I was like, Dad's going to be speaking in front of all these people tomorrow. And they were like, oh, that sucks. They're teenagers, and I was like, yeah, it does suck. So what I want to do first to kick this off is I'm going to just do a pan around the room, just in case I bomb. I want you guys to make like as much noise as you can, so I can just show like my kids, like, Dad crushed it. All right, so we're going to go right now. So 1, 2, 3, make a lot of noise. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so I have an impossible task this morning, but I don't know, did anybody hear that word anchoring yesterday? So I'm really going to anchor this conference, I think, from what you've heard so far. Okay, I'm going to bring it all home. The ADHD, the balance, the lack of discipline, all the stuff you're struggling with right now, I'm going to kind of bring it home. And right now I'm on this big finish strong mission, right? So anybody know why it's important to finish this year strong and not take your foot off the gas pedal fourth quarter? Why fourth quarter is the most important quarter there is? Yeah, so that's right. So a strong finish means a fast start. Many of us suck Q1. Our business is just flat because we took December off, all right? So I want you all in this room to challenge yourselves to finish strong, but also take that back to your brokerage. The people that were supposed to be sitting next to you here, make sure they hear this message, because I do believe it's the most important message that you have the ability to receive this morning. There's the potential for breakthrough this morning. Will there be? It's up to you. I can tell you, I was all nervous backstage. I think backstage is actually worse than being up here. The waiting, just really terrible. But Reagan reminded me, she's like, listen, you've been teaching on this for a long, long time. And she's right. But I have very few students, agents, I have very few implementers. Okay? And I presented this presentation to my team last night, and they brought up some really good points. It was like a focus group, but they had a lot of cocktails at the reception, so it's kind of a hot mess. But we did get to find some common ground, on some things. The fact that most of us got into real estate for the flexibility, right? You know what flexibility sounds a lot like to me? Work-life balance, which Rick told us yesterday is a complete crock of shift without the F, right? So I want you guys to focus on another word that starts with F, and that's freedom. Okay? So freedom. What professional, I don't care what field, what professional flies by the seat of their pants? If you went to the doctor and you had a serious injury and it's like, yeah, I think I'll fix that. Maybe after lunch, I'm going to go, take a long lunch. But I'll get to it. You're going to be fine. Yeah, I did one of these a couple years ago. I'm pretty sure I can do it again. All right. It's like those commercials, okay is not okay. And the thing is, I love what Jared said, the thing that got you here is not going to be what gets you to the next level. Like our own worst enemy, we're going to talk a lot about that today. But first, that's a $100 donation to Make-A-Wish Foundation. Let's address this word perfect too. All right? There's no such thing as the perfect week. Right? But what I want you to focus on, two things, okay? Obviously it's progress over perfection, right? But what is perfect, or how can our week be as perfect as it can be? And that P word is productivity. A productive week is about as close as we can get to perfect in real estate as possible. And a lot of you have achieved amazing things. Huge GCI numbers. But that GCI is feeding your ego a lot more than it's feeding your family. All right, so this word perfect also sets the stage for another word I want you guys to focus on and really take ownership of, which is imperfection. We are imperfect people by nature. So really owning this message this morning is going to serve you well, I think. So this is what I believe. And listen, I'm not talking over you. I'm talking to you. I'm right here with you. There's no bigger whimsical guy in this audience than me. No bigger introvert. No bigger ADHD, sufferer. So I'm right in here with you. I spent the first 4 years of my real estate career trying to figure this out on my own. I didn't need to go to the office for the free coffee and the donuts. I don't need donuts. I've got a terrible metabolism. But I was like, that's just sad. You know, we need to be out there shaking the bushes. But I just really didn't know what the heck I was doing. So 4 years after I got my real estate license was the crash of '08. And that's where the rubber met the road for me. And I had a mentor. This is what's important about coaches, is they tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that's, I was talking to another one of our coaches during our coaches reception, and he was saying, I think that's why a lot of people get into coaching, just to get the validation that they're doing everything right. And that's not what accountability is. Accountability is the highest form of love one person can show another. And so I hope you guys don't shoot the messenger this morning, because you are the worst boss for your business. You are a terrible boss. And because of that, you're fired. Every one of you is fired. Turn to your buddy and say, you're fired. Give him the finger. You're fired. On the next bathroom break, look in the mirror and tell yourself, you're freaking fired. You can no longer be trusted. Now look, don't let your ego get all out of whack. You're still the boss, kind of. I mean, you're still the owner, right? You're still like the chairman of the board. But CEO, you're going to have to fire yourself from that job. So this is a good news, bad news situation here. All right? So the bad news is you had to fire yourself. Okay? The good news is I've got the perfect replacement for a CEO. All right? This could be another just planting of a seed, trying to get you guys motivated to go out and get the book, audio book or paperback, the book Rocket Fuel. So Rocket Fuel is all about the relationship between the visionary and the integrator. And I am like an incredible visionary, terrible integrator. There's squirrels everywhere. We've talked about how many like this is the distraction, the era of distractions, right? There's more distractions now than ever, and it's only going to get worse. All right, so who are we going to get to replace us? The good news is it's not going to cost you anything. This is free. A Google Calendar. A Google Calendar. This is the new CEO of your business. And I know there's a bunch of you out there going, well, I like my paper calendar. I don't like Google, and Google's like big brother, enemy, gross. All right, so what's the goal here, right? We know we got to change, we know we got to evolve, and I don't care if you want to keep your paper calendar. Keep it. But this is for the big rocks, okay? The irrefutable actions that need to be executed on a consistent basis. You need those pop-up notifications. I know that kind of seems like, a contradiction, because there's a distraction, but that's a distraction you need, because it's planting a seed. All right, so Jared says, visibility trumps ability. Guys, we got to schedule visibility. We got to schedule research. We got to schedule pop buys. We got to schedule creativity. You're not going to go back and accept Andrew's challenge of creating 20 YouTube videos between here and the end of the year if you don't put it on your schedule. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. Out of sight, out of mind. Make sense? All right. So show me your calendar, and this is a lot of this stuff's going to be a gut punch, guys. But just kind of keep that mantra of accountability as love. The highest form of love one human being can show another. This is life-changing, folks. Breakthrough moment. This is no smoke and mirrors. This is really, really real. But if I had you all open your paper calendars or show me your Google Calendar, you're going to show me your bank account. And I have students that have met their goals for the year and have taken their foot off the gas pedal. Well, I don't need to do all this stuff you're telling me to do, Jason. I've already hit my goals for this year. We had a successful year. Hell, we still got 2 more months left. Holy crap. All right. So Cisco crushed it yesterday. He did an amazing job up here, made it look really easy. But this slide is very relatable, I think, to his message. I have my business partner right now on one of the real estate teams I run. She gets these massive paychecks, and like within 3-4 weeks, she's just burned through it. I'm talking like a $16,000 check. I don't know where it all goes. But she's paycheck to paycheck. This is not freedom. This is not the flexibility. And what my team hammered me on last night was, Jason, give them the truth. Go deep on the truth. Why do so few of you heed this message? Why will so few of you leave this room today and do nothing? And I believe, and we believe, the Drunken Focus Group believes, that it's just like an arrogance thing. You're like, I'll be damned. I left this 9 to 5 because it had all these rules, because it had all of these expectations, and I had to like just get all this stuff done, and I was under the thumb of my boss. But most of us are living paycheck to paycheck. So this is it, right? This is the secret sauce as it relates to consistency. You guys, the point is here, you can't be consistent on your own. You just can't. You're not. So we can get the sweatshirts. I bought one yesterday too. But it's all a crock of crap if we don't do something about it today. If you can't find somebody next to you or back home who you respect, who will look you in the eyes and tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, it's a big win. If that person doesn't exist, then you need to go see Joe at the coaching booth. But y'all saw, this went crazy on TikTok. Like a year ago, this whole like hashtag time blocking, it was a big thing. It was a whole like movement on TikTok. This stuff works. All right, now, you're going to get distracted. You're going to ignore the pop-up notifications. But I believe there's still a seed that's being planted. So when that Google Calendar pops up in your Apple Watch, that notification, it says, you need to be making video. You need to make a video today. Today's content day. Go out and shoot some content. Go out and do one of those interviews Jared was talking about with a local small business owner. I like to tell this to my team. Like, I asked them this question. What have you done lately to support the small business owner? You kidding me? Oh my gosh. All right, so what coaches go through or go to a game without a game plan? Nobody. Not if they want to win. I think you've heard today that you're all born to win, right? Be the wind, not the flag. The flag is at the mercy of the wind. So when you show up to work with no schedule, you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're going everywhere your text messages, the phone calls, the emails, the social media pop-up notifications take you. The very simplest form of designing a schedule is AM to PM, 2 hemispheres of a schedule. Just think about this. When you're designing your time block, AM is your office work, PM is your field work. Here are my top priorities, and this is Reagan's fault. That's supposed to say mindset. It says mindset. So during our drunken focus group last night, I was panicked, and I was like, oh, shift. Do I have time to correct this slide and get it to Reagan? And my team was like, no, it's funny. Leave it in there. But listen, mindset is the anchor. Many of you will leave here today because you don't have your mind right. It's that person in the mirror. Just think like that's where, if you fire yourself, you're firing your limiting beliefs. You're firing your negative self-talk because your Google Calendar doesn't give a crap. It's relentless. It's like, no, you need to be making calls. You need to be following up until you get one of two fingers, right? So this is my order of priority of what you should use, your big rocks, what you should use to design your freedom schedule. Mindset. And I got this idea from one of our other coaches in preparation for this call, like the concept of this. Because that particular coach said, well, your CRM should be your CEO. And I was like, damn, that's good. But then I was like, wait a minute. You can't put database ahead of schedule. Because if it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. If database management is not a huge time block on your schedule when you leave here, and maybe you just decide to humor me, but running out of time here, I just need to hammer this home that in real estate, we're 90 days away from a breakthrough. And if we're going to be real honest with each other, you guys have had it your way for a while. So just fire yourself for 90 days and then you can rehire yourself. But I think you're going to realize what a bum that person was and that they deserve to be fired and that your business is like scaling through the roof because you added that structure that you needed. Flexibility is a myth. This is it? Oh, 2 minutes? All right. I would also design your schedule to meet the top 2 consumer expectations. Market knowledge, marketing skills. I said this during the YouTube breakout yesterday. I want to say it to y'all. If you're not good at marketing yourselves, why in the heck would I hire you to market and sell my home? Bam, gut punch. Oh, that's it. All right, I'm a huge sports guy. Everybody knows this is what Tom Brady says, right? Let's go. Let's go. 90 days. 90 days. Give me 90 days. Commit to it. And let's see what happens. All right, thank y'all so much.
Please welcome to the stage Jared James Coach Mongo, Andrew Eiermonger.
Test, test. What is up? Day 2 of the advance. How's everybody feeling? Amazing. I like it. There's a lot more in here than I thought there was going to be. I figured day 2, we went out, we had some drinks, maybe too many drinks. All right, let's talk about the disc profile. Who here, raise your hand if you've got a vague idea of what the disc profile is. Good. That's going to make this so much easier. Raise your hand if you really know it, like you're wondering why this bozo's up here training and you should be doing it. Anybody? I won't call you up here probably. Thanks. Got to figure out this clicker. Can you just give me a second here? Oh, there we go. So I joined the ranks of realtors from the military. And when I was first starting, I had 2 people tell me not to do this. One of them was a very dear friend of mine. The other one was my first sergeant. For anybody that doesn't know, they're like the disciplinarian. They're also supposed to have your back for certain things. And they both took me out to lunch at 2 different times. And they told me not to do it. I remember my close friend, we went to the bar, and he wouldn't even look me in the eyes. He had just gotten out of the military like 2 months before. And he takes a sip of his drink. He's looking up at the TV, watching a game. And he goes, "You're going to fail at this, dude. Don't do this. Like, you're introverted. You know, you've been in the military most of your adult life." I was chewing, I was spitting, burping, like not good, not a pretty sight, okay? Obviously, I fixed some of that. And And I remember that. So, you know, when I finally joined, I was like, I'm gonna do this anyway. I'm gonna prove them wrong, right? You know, little chip on your shoulder. And so I joined Keller Williams. That's where I started. I'm not there anymore, but any Keller Williams folks? Oh, you guys are super excited. Cool. Glad both of you are here. So one of the things that they go over is the disc, right? So I'm in this class, and they do the disc, and I decide to take it, and I answer it just like a rock star realtor would answer, right? I answered it wrong, and I came out with a DI personality. Said I was a super aggressive person, this little shy kid. And I handed it to my mentor, and she said, go back and take this again. This is wrong. This isn't you, dude. And I was like, yeah, but this guy would be really successful. Yeah, that's not you, dude. All right, so, and I take it again. It comes out with the CS personality, and I'm in a line full of other agents. We're talking to our broker. He's looking at it, he goes, D, you know, you should be cold calling. That's awesome. Oh, I, you know what? You're high I. You should be in front of people. Get in front of people. And he looks at mine, and the words that you're saying up on the screen, that's what he told me. You'll either be working as an assistant for another agent or completely out of the business in 6 months. Ouch, right? Now, I'm like 2 months into this from those friends telling me not to do this. And my broker is telling me this. So I remember I went upstairs in a little room I was renting, and I closed the door, and I went, why does this make me a bad real estate agent? And so the basis of this talk is based off of that. I spent probably too much time figuring out the disc, and it helped me build rapport and have people know, like, and trust me really, really quickly. In fact, that's part of what I want to do with you guys today. So I've got about 20 minutes. I want you guys to be able to recognize the personality within 30 seconds. That's my goal. And then from there, I'm going to give you a little bit of tips on how to react or how to posture yourself in front of some of those people. And I'll tell you this isn't going to be a direct tactic like Jared was talking about yesterday. Send this text, you know, send this Facebook post, and you're going to get all this business. But this is going to be foundational. If you think about this disc, when you're talking with people, I guarantee your conversations are going to go smoother. You're going to build more clientele. People are going to know you, like you, and trust you better. And that's what they need to do business with you. So if I do all of that, does that sound pretty good today? Sweet. All right, so for anybody that doesn't know the disc at all, I like to use a little analogy called the elevator pitch. So there's 4 personality types. Each one stands for something, right? They're just kind of a basis on how you do things. None of these are going to be guaranteed across the board. Sometimes people change. In fact, there's an adapted style too. We're not going to get into that today, but sometimes they change. So the D's our driver. Our D gets on the elevator, and they're hitting the button, close the door. I got to get to the lobby. I got stuff to do. Somebody's coming, and they're like, close the door. Oh, sorry, right? That's the D. They're ready to do stuff. They're task-oriented. They're not worried about people as much. Then you've got the I. Oh, our I's are cheerleaders, our bubbly people. They're the life of the party. They're the ones that get on the elevator, hit the button, and turn around and look at everybody. I can't wait to tell you why I'm in the lobby. I can't wait for you to tell me. They've got a story, right? Then you've got the S. Our S's are our mama bears. They want to take care of people. So the S gets on the elevator, they hit their little button. Somebody's running down the hall just a little bit too far, and they're just holding the door open. Come on, yeah. No, everybody, it's fine. That's the S, right? Then you get the C personality. Now the C gets on nice and quiet, hits their little button, gets in the corner, and they happen to look up and they see a weight limit on the elevator. Well, they're our analytics, so they're starting to run math. Like, we got 1,200 pounds, there's 6 people here, we got 200 pounds each. I'm a bigger fella, I'm taking up somebody's share, right? There's a kid here, there's a girl, okay. All right, we're good, we're at like 1,100. Awesome. So if you guys are taking notes, this is the graphic that I'm going to use to kind of help you guys determine what personality type you're dealing with in about 30 seconds. Please don't come up to me after this and be like, guess what I am? Because I'm not gonna have enough context, okay? So if you're taking notes, up at the top left of your little box, write D, top right I. Beneath the I, don't screw this part up or else you'll be confused, write the S. And then in the bottom left corner, write the C. And right up at the top, over the D and the I, write fast and aggressive. The D's and the I's are fast, they're aggressive, they're getting to the next thing, they're ready. They've got 1,600 ideas. Well, the I does anyway. The D's got 1, but they're gonna hammer it, right? So right at the bottom for the S and the C, I want you to write slow and deliberate. My shoe's untied. That's not cool. All right, on the right side, by the I and the S, I want you to write people-oriented. See, the I and the S, they love people. They want to involve people in everything that they do. They're thinking about people, they talk, their language involves other people. And then on the left side, I want you to write on the left side, I want you to write task-oriented. The D's and C's are task-oriented. The conversation's gonna look something like this. They're aggressive, right? Their mannerisms are a little bit faster. Their arms are moving a little bit more. They're just overall a little bit faster paced. They're probably in the D and the I category. We're halfway there. Now we just need to figure out, are they talking about people or tasks? Are they saying, I need to have 10 good conversations with people? I need to have 10 fun conversations with people? Probably an I. Or are they saying, I need to slam 50 phone calls? Because that's a task. So that's how you're going to segregate it, right? They're a little bit slow and deliberate, but they're talking about people? They're probably an S. They care about people. They like people just like the I. They just don't want everybody to know about it all the time. Same with your D's and your C's. Your D's are typically portrayed as kind of alpha. I know that's a popular word right now. They're going to steamroll a couple of the personality types. But the C is going to sit back and look. See, the D will do one task and hammer it until they're good at it because they were told. They just got minimal information. Hey, cold calling worked for me. Good. How many phone calls do I need to make? Where a C is going to go, well, I got to study all the scripts first. I need to make these count. So they're going to find 80 different ways to do it and pick one that has the highest chance of success. They both normally get right where they need to go at the same time. Just one of them thinks too much when they do it. Trust me, I'm one of them. All right, here's some good ways to spot these. These are not all encompassing, please keep that in mind, but a D generally has an alert posture. They're ready. They're ready for the next thing. They've got big hand gestures, especially when they're on stage, right? They want to get all crazy. I can't really do it because I'm kind of a CS personality, but they're strong and confident. That one on the bottom left is my favorite, strong eye contact. Some of you Ds are making some of us S's really nervous. Blink once in a while, look away. Holy cow, you were staring into my soul. And they're generally quick to give objections and their opinions. You ever be halfway through a sentence and somebody cuts you off to tell you about whatever they think? Might be a D. And they like to get to the point. They don't want any wasted time. And my high I's, my cheerleaders of the world, they generally keep their, whoop, whoop, yeah, that is an I right there, whoever that was. They generally keep their arms open, exposing their chest. They're generally an expressive speaker. They talk with their hands a lot. And they generally laugh easy with enthusiasm. You hear that like belly laugh? You're like, that guy really likes what I'm saying. It might be an I. They like to move energetically. And they always have a story for you. Try to tell a story to an I. They've got one. Not just picking on you guys, it's fine. We're going to pick on everybody today. Our mama bears. Man, they want to take care of everybody. They've got more of a reserved posture. They're generally friendly and warm. They're the ones you want to tell a secret to. They generally take a relaxed pace, not only in their body language, but also their tone. And they're generally a very attentive listener. S's love to listen. They're trying to figure out what's in that brain. They're a little bit more guarded. And they're generally going to ask questions about security. So I'll give you some tips about this stuff later, but these are the people that you tell about the sidewalks when you're working with a buyer. Oh, look at these sidewalks, these street lights. It's safe here. Just be careful, crime and everything. We can get in trouble for steering, but then you've got your high C, our analytics. Now see, our analytics are very reserved as well, so they've got a reserved body language. They're not very expressive. Generally keep that reserved, but still kind of wakeful posture. They're still ready for stuff, but just calm about it. They generally have a slower and lower volume. And they like to gather all the information before they speak. Yep, they're the ones sitting there listening to I need all the information before I jump on this. And they're the ones that most commonly get stuck with thinking face or poker face or, if you know, RBF. It's just part of it, guys. So here's what I want to do. You guys should have a good understanding of how to pick somebody out. I'd like you to do some of this today. By the way, when we're on breaks, talk to somebody. Try to figure them out a little bit. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. It will help you build relationships so quick. But we do need to know one thing. We've heard of the golden rule, right? Treat people the way we want to be treated. I don't think that's a very good way to do it, because I like things my way, and so do they. So I suggest we do the platinum rule. Treat them the way they want to be treated. This is where you turn into a chameleon a little bit. I'm a CS personality, but if any of you guys have talked to me in the back, I will mold to your personality just a little bit. Not all the time, but generally when I'm thinking about it. And it helps us build that rapport. It's not to be manipulative, it's to speak your language. If you walked up to me speaking English and I started speaking Spanish, that would be weird. I would also be like, where did I learn Spanish? So when you're working with a high D, don't repeat yourself or go back time in the conversation. We have high Ds in here. Does that drive you nuts? Cool, didn't we resolve this like 2 minutes ago? Dude, I'm on the next scene. Step up. Be short and to the point. They don't need all the details. C's, you C's, you're talking to a D, stop giving them the details. They don't care. And I want you to be direct when an objection comes up. This is my favorite objection in the world. Even though I'm a C, is will you lower your commission? You know what my response is? I need to out-D them. I call it putting my D on the table. Sorry, I just call it what it is. Andrew, will you lower your commission? No. Next question. That's it. Come at me again. I'll do it again. I really don't like this commission. I don't care. I mean, there's better ways to do this. I'm just kind of, being funny here, but that's kind of how I do it. And make sure you address the conflict at hand. You bring that conflict up again 5 minutes later, they're checked out. They don't want to do this. Why are we doing this? Then we've got the high eyes. Make sure you keep the conversation and body language lively. They want to see you excited because they're excited. You want to match that energy. Thank you. And you want to hit on items that will engage others in some way. Hey, this backyard's going to be great. Wait until you have all your friends here. Man, that pool's amazing. There's going to be a lot of pee-pee in there. Don't say that. I just really wanted to say that on stage. Thank you for humoring me. And make sure you're using bold statements and new ideas. Tell them about the new thing that you have. And then allow some time to talk. Don't immediately jump into the problem solving if there is a problem. Give them a little bit of a chance. Get them a story out. Let them get it warm. Let them talk to you. Then we've got the high S. Allow longer breaks in between points so that they have ample time to respond. The high S is thinking. They're attentively listening. And so it's going to take them a second. Don't fill the silence every time the silence comes up with an S. Give them a second. And get personal before asking a favor. I've got a high S on my team, my transaction coordinator. Probably should have chose a different personality type, but. So every single day when I go in, I make sure I talk to her about her family. I make sure I talk to her about her life. She wants that. She wants that connection. And then this way, I'm building relationship points often so that when we do have something that comes up, she doesn't feel overwhelmed and bombarded. Because an S will sometimes feel like they're being attacked from every angle if you're just jumping right into it. Hey, why'd that transaction screw up? What happened? Should have asked about the family first, right? And they love security. I talked about this already. Build that into your presentations, whether it's another agent, whether it's a buyer, a seller, build that in. Here's some tips with working with the high C. That first one's important. Really listen to their objections and concerns and address them as in-depth as you can. If a C is giving you an objection, they don't like it and they've already thought about it. In fact, a lot of times you go on a listing appointment with a C, and they're my favorite because I've got to bring a stack like this. You got to bring every sold that's ever happened in that neighborhood since 1914. It's insane. But if they have an objection, they've already thought about it. So make sure you address it in depth. And you might not receive all of your rejections immediately or objections immediately. The C's, I find, are the hardest personality type to get signed on what I call the first date, whether it's a listing appointment or a buyer representation agreement, which, by the way, if you're not doing those, please do them. I know we've touched on them multiple times. It's going to get important. And slow your pace down. You might need to do multiple appointments. They're the ones that you're going to do the listing appointment with, and you're not going to be able to get them signed. And about 4 hours after the appointment, you get an email that's about as long as a novel. Holy shit. I got to answer all these questions. That's fine. That means they like you. If you go with a high C and they don't give you anything afterwards, just move on from that listing appointment, I guess. And then give them time to respond. Don't just fill the silence to fill the silence. They're often thinking the right way to approach a response. C's are perfectionists. Maybe not openly or whatever, but every conversation, they want to make sure they're not saying something dumb. This is a chart I used to keep on my, right next to my mouse pad. It's really easy to follow. You just choose your personality type on the left side, and you follow it with the person that you might be having a conflict or a tough conversation with so that you know how to respond to them. You guys should be able to get all of these. I suggest if you want to take this stuff seriously, you can definitely throw it there. I will tell you what, every single member on my team has a DISC personality assessment stapled to their desk. So this way, when I'm going over to them and I know I'm a high C personality, I'm working with a high D, it says, be direct, don't get caught up in the details. So if I go in there and I start talking to them about their life and how they're doing and everything's really good and I want to give them the 18 reasons why the thing that they're doing isn't working, they are checked out. It's called polyphasic thinking. Ever see somebody go glossy-eyed on you? They are not paying attention. That is going to happen. So I know that I need to be more direct. Hey, dude, saw you didn't do your calls yesterday. What's up? It's a way different conversation. This will help you guys in any of your conflicts, so feel free to use it. I think it's important that we know what our own personality type is. So Jared, in his infinite wisdom, has put one on his site. You guys can take a picture of that. You can go on there and do it. Thank you, Jared, for that. It's really simple. It's about 15 questions. Don't answer the way you want to be. Answer the way you are. Here's what I can tell you. Every personality type can be successful in real estate. I was told early on, you guys remember that? You'll be somebody's assistant or broke in 6 months or out of the business. I did 11 sales my first year, and I now sell about 50 million every single year in a $350,000 price point. So I don't care what, thank you. So I don't care what they say. Your personality is fine because guess what? There are other personalities in the world just like yours, and people want to work with who? People they know, like, and trust. And I don't just work with C's and S's. I work with D's, and I work with I's. I work with everybody because I know how to change to the situation. I know how to talk to them. I know that when something comes up, how I'm going to approach it and go after their motivations. And so, yeah, this might not be, hey, send this message out, and you'll get a ton of business from it. But if you put the DISC in use in your day-to-day business, I'm promising you it changes you in such a good way. I was an introverted kid. Remember I told you, spitting, burping, all that stupid stuff. Now, obviously, that's the DISC not going to help me with that. That was just stop being a dumb kid. But it did help me with everything else that I did. I have won listings that I probably shouldn't have won because of this. It wasn't a cool listing presentation. It wasn't anything like that. It's walking in there and finding out, what's up? What do we need to do? Or giving them lots of stories. Or telling them about how safe the lockbox is going to be for them while they're selling their house. Whatever their personality type is, we're just moving it. So I urge every single one of you guys to go on here and do this. Awesome, it's disabled. So that's why I put it down below. I use one of those free things, you know, for the QR code, so maybe there was a time limit. Oops. So you guys have it there. It's jaredjamestoday.com/disc. It's, I think, 15 or 20 questions. I took it. It's very accurate. Knowing who you are so that you know how to mold every single situation is so ridiculously important and overlooked in our industry. It blows my freaking mind. Because we communicate for a living, but sometimes we only communicate with our personality type for a living. Because everybody else we just push away. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But I'm here trying to feed a team. So I want everybody to get along with everybody. Might be on my high S in my personality, I don't know. So that's what I urge you guys to do. That's everything I've got for you. I really appreciate everybody. Have a good day.
Everyone, please welcome to the stage from Happy Grasshopper, Dan Stewart.
Hi. Whoa, that's on. Good morning. This is pretty darn cool, I have to say. This is absolutely cool. Who was at the very first Jared James Advance in Hartford all those years ago? Hands in the back, Owen. Wow, just a few of us. So cool. I'm trying to count, like, what number advance is this? 8, 9, 10, 27? What's the number? I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I feel so incredibly grateful to be here. It's awesome that Jared keeps inviting me back. And, you know, I have to say, I was feeling pretty good about my presentation. Honestly, I was like, I'm not going after Jared. That's pretty good. And then these guys come out and kill it right before me. I mean, how awesome were they? Come on, give it up. Super cool. Yeah, super cool, super cool. So I have a lot to share. You may have noticed the title, right? We're going to talk about some stuff today. We absolutely are. I want you to raise your hand super high for me if you feel like your database is completely organized and producing all the opportunity it should be. Look around, folks. Not one hand. Not one, right? That's a challenge. For years, you've heard everybody say your database is your most valuable asset, and yet you struggle, right? Why? What's the reason for that? I really believe it boils down to just a few simple things. It's our own internal fear. What if we reach out to someone and they don't want to hear from us? What if they hate the house we sold them, right? What if the roof is leaking? What if the neighbors are jerks? Or worst of all, what if they sold the house with another agent? Like, that's the spear in the chest moment. Well, you're going to have to get over those internal fears yourself. And my goal by the end of the presentation today is to make sure you have all the data, all the information you need to know for certain that those people in your database are actually waiting to hear from you. And more importantly, they need to hear from you, particularly now. Who's working harder this year than you were last year? Yeah? What do we do as human beings when things are tough? Drink more. That is a hell of a great Nashville answer. That's fantastic. We also turn to each other in times of hardship. We do. I have 3 core beliefs that underpin all the work I've done at my business over the past almost 14 years. The first is that whatever it is we want to achieve in life, it's more easily achieved through the relationships we build. Do you believe that? Yes or yes, you believe that, right? I also believe that relationships really only live in one place, and that's conversation, right? Now, the magic for those of us who earn our living through the sale of real estate is that if we have more conversations, we will have more closings. Oh, I know that's like rocket science. That's crazy. Crazy, amazing realization there. Well, I'll tell you that 14 years ago when I started this journey, I did not have the answers we have today. They just weren't there. They didn't exist. And today, it's my privilege to visit with you and share some of the things that we've learned. So those of you who don't know me, my name's Dan Stewart. I founded this company called Happy Grasshopper. And I get a lot of people asking, where did that name come from? Like, what are you guys? Is it pest control? Do you cut lawns? What the heck is Happy Grasshopper? And we create and deliver content that's designed to start conversations. The specific conversations you need to grow your head count, to convert more of the leads that you're generating, and to generate more referral business from your past clients and your sphere of influence. Right? Those are the 3 lanes that we've really focused on over the past, again, 14 years. It just blows my mind. The question I don't get very often is, why did you start the company at all? Like, what was the motivation for this? And I think that's a more interesting question, actually, because right prior to starting Happy Grasshopper, I had the privilege of selling my previous business. We were a white label software company. We built tools for franchises. Anyone involved in a franchise? Yep. Franchises provide all this technology to their people, and then the people almost never use it. Sound familiar? That was the pain that kept me up at night as an entrepreneur. And after the exit, I had this aha moment. I was like, you know what? I don't think it's the tool. I think it's the content that's in the tool. So I set out to figure out, well, is there a market of people who actually want better content? And is it possible to even create better content? And because I didn't know the answer, we did one thing that turned out to be the best thing we ever did. And it was measure everything. Every single message we ever sent, we've measured. We know exactly what's happened to it. We know the kind of content that people reply to. We know the kind of content they ignore. We've done thousands and thousands and thousands of experiments and made tons of mistakes along the way. It's necessary as you're making progress to make some mistakes. It just happens, right? So if you've made a mistake with your database, don't beat yourself up. It's okay. And you know, I have to say I'm really surprised sometimes to think about how quick this journey feels and how long it's actually been. Have you heard the phrase that to become an overnight success, you have to toil in darkness for a decade? You know that one? That's kind of what's happened to us this past year. It seems like everywhere we go, the press is reviewing us and sharing all these really great stories. And what I love is that the stories are about the results we create for people like you. Okay? Sending a message in 2023 is not a technical challenge for anyone. Sending a message that creates the conversations you need to have, that's the challenge. And that's what we've been focused on, is figuring out what is the content that actually works. So today I'm going to share several lessons with you, and I'm going to give you playbooks that let you actually apply the things that you've learned. So whether you're a member of my company or a member of any other company, it doesn't matter. Apply what you're going to learn today, and you will start the conversations that lead to opportunity. So I truly do believe that if you have good data, you can make good decisions. And I'll tell you that with 37 million contacts, we've got a ton of really great data, and it's time for you to put that data to work. So we're going to start with leads. Who feels like leads just haven't really panned out lately? Anyone? Anyone here spending a ton of money on lead generation and not feeling really great about it? Yeah, I see a few hands. The game has changed. You know, if we go back in time just 10 years, we had about 4.7 million leads for 4.5 million transactions. At that point in time, the only thing that mattered was speed to lead. If you were the first person to connect with that prospect, you very likely closed the business with them, right? That was kind of a golden era. Last year, we had approximately 150 million digital leads for about 5 million transactions. That is absolutely crazy. It's absolutely nuts. That is way more lead volume than we can even understand. If you felt frustrated because you can't get a lead on the phone, this is why. They start their registration an average of 18 months before they're willing to connect with an agent. Think about that. You know, some of you are going, ooh, I'm going to invest in this leads program. I'm not sure. Hope it works. You get your first lead, you're like, yes. And then you can't get them on the phone. They don't call you back. They don't respond to anything. And you're like, oh, it's a bad lead. It didn't work. The data says it's not a bad lead. It's just not a mature lead, right? If you give that lead time, if you nurture them over time, it's going to actually work out for you. So time is your enemy if you view it the wrong way. If you view it the right way, it's really your ally, because you can use that time to create engagement and build a relationship when your competition isn't. Okay? Now, I'm going to share some playbooks here that'll be useful for you. Just as we're approaching Halloween, it's kind of cool to bring up zombies, right? If you have old, dead leads in your database, know that they're probably not old and dead. They just weren't ready when you generated them. So you need to reach out to them. If you have the right strategy, you send the right message, you can get the right results. It's not rocket science, right? The beautiful thing about data is it's dependable. It just is. If you do the right things consistently, you get the right result without variation. You might not get the right result the first time you try, but you will get the right result over time. Now, Brent's story, he had 10,000 old moldy contacts in his database. A bunch of those were his agents' contacts, agents who had left his team years ago. A bunch of them were old dead Boomtown leads. It didn't matter. Reaching out with the right message created the right result for him. Now, when you have a larger organization, if anyone here has a brokerage, you're a broker owner or a team owner with a large team, you're going to need different strategies to reactivate your zombie leads. And Robert Slack, the most successful team in the United States, they've hired us to nurture just the stuff that no one can get to engage, and we're finding an average of a minimum 1 transaction per month. Right? If you reach out with the right content consistently over time, you start the conversations that lead to transactions. Right? So let's go a little deeper here on this concept of automation. I believe automation's an amazing thing. Like, I'm 53 years old. How many technical revolutions am I going to live through in my life, right? I mean, we're here at the cusp of AI. We're witnessing the birth of this whole new thing yet again. And here I am standing before you suggesting that we can actually automate the building of trust. That might sound a little crazy. And yet, remember what I said about time? If their first registration is now, and they're not ready to start shopping for 18 months, you can use that time in between to strategically build trust with them if you have the right approach. And I'm going to give you that right approach. So you should start by acknowledging a lead as it's captured. Then you should position yourself to that lead. And then you need to nurture them over the extreme long term. And I'm going to give you some detail here. So the icons. In the acknowledge phase, that's a text followed by a ringless voicemail drop. Mr. Dorn, I'm going to use you as an example here. Let's imagine Andrew comes to danstamparealestate.com and he's searched for a house. He's registered as an IDX lead. Well, my website, of course, captures that lead. It lets me know that there's a lead. And, of course, it pings him with an autoresponder. He gets an email, which he knows is not a real human being. It's 2023. That's not fooling anybody, right? So I'm going to automate delivery of a text a few minutes later. And it's going to say something like, "Hi, Andrew. It's Dan at Dan's Tampa Real Estate. Thanks for finding my website. I'm wrapping a meeting now, and we'll call in about 20 minutes. If it's urgent, please text, and I'll try to step out. Thanks." Right? We can automate delivery of that message, and then Andrew feels like there's a real human connected to him at that point. Okay? Now pay attention what happened in that message. I set an expectation that automation is going to fulfill. 20 minutes later, down at his phone, sees missed call. And there's my voice. "Hey, it's me, Dan Stewart at Dan's Real Estate. Just wanted to follow up with you like I promised I would. Tell you what, your email for me, send you a message now, and call me when you get this. You've got my number, blah, 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 blah. Thanks, bye." Right? You can record a message like that once and then have it automated for delivery. So what do I do again? I set another expectation that immediately is going to get fulfilled with more automation. Does that make sense? Okay? That's a very simple automation string, and yet it does something very important. It teaches your lead that you are the kind of person who does what you say you're going to do. Think of the frustration of the average consumer today. You know, they call a website, they call a sign, they don't get a call back. They're starving to talk to someone and they can't engage with someone. And here's you consistently doing what you say you're going to do over time, right? So each of these phases has a purpose, and each of these are designed to compete against the thing that's showing up in the inboxes of your prospects every single day, right? What are all these leads getting? They're getting the same thing from you that they're getting from your competition, that they're getting from Realtor.com, and they're getting from Zillow. They're getting the Save Search. They're overwhelmed with information about houses. They need information about you. The positioning phase is designed to teach them what your past clients in Sphere know is awesome about you. Right? Think about it. If you've done a great job for people, they're going to insist that their friends and family work with you. They're not going to let them hire someone else. They know exactly how great you are, and the positioning phase should teach these prospects what those things are. It's a lot more than just bullet point, I'm awesome. Bullet point, I really care. Bullet point, I have experience. Bullet point, I have tech. Right? You need to use the power of story to engage people. I'll teach you a formula right now. Regardless the media source, it works everywhere. This is the universal formula for engagement. If you want more likes, more shares, more comments, if you want more replies to anything you're doing, you must raise their curiosity and leave it unresolved. That's it. You can't give them absolutely everything in your message because then they don't need to talk with you. You want them to talk with you because conversation leads to closings. Not rocket science, right? Not rocket science. So the positioning phase, again, helps them see you as the unique, awesome person that you are. And then the nurturing phase is where you work to stay in touch with them, show up as the human being you actually are over the great amount of time it might take before they're ready. People buy, sell, and invest real estate on their time frame. And yet you're always selling on yours. Right? You can't force them to buy a house. You can't force them to sell a house. You can't force them to make an investment. You simply have to be the person that's in their mind at the moment it's time. Right? So a great content strategy can help you do that. All right. Lesson 3. Who you are matters, especially at this particular moment in time. Show of hands for me. Who started their real estate career post-COVID? Looking around. A lot of these baby agents don't have the experience of building business in a somewhat normal market, right? It's kind of risky. It's kind of risky. Many of you have had experiences where the way you sell property is you list it and you instantly get offers well above list price, right? And it's under contract almost immediately. Those things don't, is that another $100 donation? Yeah, awesome, cool. Make-A-Wish is going to be happy today. I love it. So when those, I lost my train of thought. Isn't that absolutely crazy? More coffee, Dan. Need it, right? So this moment in time, for these agents who didn't have the experience of really building a database and nurturing it and building these deep relationships, some of them have been taught things by the market. They're going to make the next several months very challenging for them. Now, you veteran agents who've been through crazy markets, I want you to think about how important it is for you to fill the void in the minds of all your past clients in Sphere right now. You know, what if I bought a house 2 years ago and I paid $100,000 over list price? Now I see mortgage rates are going crazy. I'm probably like, what does this mean for me? I have questions. Right? The way you show up as a pro is you reach out when you don't need something, but you expect that they do. Right? That's how you extend your leadership into the world. That's how you separate yourself from everybody else in the marketplace. There is so much opportunity for you to do that risky thing, push yourself into the pain that your prospects and your past clients are experiencing. Right? It's so easy to get focused on what we're experiencing. Sometimes it's hard to step outside and imagine what it's like for them. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And I also want to encourage you to really double down on who you are, because you matter. Your past clients in Sphere know that you matter. Right? What are the things you love to do? Right? What are the things you would do if you weren't getting paid? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? Whatever they are, they can lead you to an affinity marketing playbook that can be incredibly fun for you as well as incredibly rewarding. right? So, show of hands. Who here is a boater? Do we have some boaters? Okay, a few boaters in the room. Who is a golfer? Where are my golfers in the room? Okay. Who loves horses? Anyone love horses? Okay, lots of people for that. How about food? Does anyone here eat? Yeah, a lot of us do. Oh, wait, it's Nashville. Does anyone here drink? Even more hands, right? So if you think about what you really love and you find ways to share it, you can create opportunity everywhere. I'm going to tell you a quick story about a new agent member of mine. She came to me and she said, hey, I'm brand new in real estate. I think I'm going to start my career with first-time buyers while I learn the ropes. And I was like, oh no, she's climbing the steepest part of the cliff first. That's going to be hard for her, right? So I asked her about her background, and she shared with me that she was actually a champion equestrian. Like, wow, she rode horses in these crazy eventing competitions. I live on a horse farm. I didn't even know what eventing was. I had to learn this from her. It's this incredibly complex, dangerous skill that she's mastered. So we bonded over the horse thing, and then I said, well, why aren't you specializing in equestrian properties? Aren't there any near where you live? She goes, oh, there's tons of them. I don't have any experience as an agent. I don't think it's right to start there. And so I said, well, hang on a minute. Most agents don't have any experience with horses. How many acres does a horse need to graze? 1 acre per horse, okay? What kind of drainage is best to have? She knew every little nuance of everything connected to horses, and yet she was afraid to really focus on that, right? Instead, I encouraged her to focus on what she loves, and she said, all right, equestrian properties, that's what I'm going to do. And then she said, where do I get the leads for those? I was like, ooh, interesting. Yeah. There isn't really an equestrian properties like super great lead source, is there? Turns out there is, right? The strategy we came up for her was absolutely beautiful, and it was so cheap. For an investment of $20, she's on pace to close almost $20 million in transactions her first year in real estate. Like, wow. Okay. Would you like to know what she did? Yeah, okay. So she went to rushordertees.com and had this printed on a t-shirt. Say nay if you love horses. That's what the shirt says. And then she wears it to Starbucks. She wears it grocery shopping. She wears it to the feed store. She wears it wherever she can. And all day long, people are like, oh, I love horses too. That's a great shirt. She goes, oh, do you ride? Yeah, I ride. Okay, where do you ride? Who do you know? We know the same people. What kind of riding you do? Build that relationship. And then she says, you know what? I'd love to stay in touch with you, just in case you might know anyone who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in an equestrian property. Would it be okay if we exchange information? And what do they say? Yes, of course they say yes. So she does what I'm about to do. She shows her Happy Grasshopper digital business card. Boom, she grabs that information. Boom, she collects theirs, goes in the system. That person is now automatically nurtured from that point forward, right? So who would like to spend $20 and have potential to get 20 million in closings? Come on, right? Come on, right? That is a super cool strategy, and there's so many others. Everybody here said you love food, right? Here's a great food strategy. Find your local community Facebook group and ask a question in a post. Hey, what are your favorite restaurants? Woo, you'll get lots of comments. Lots of comments in those Facebook groups about your favorite restaurants. And then in another post say, hey, so many people responded to that post, I thought I'd put together a little meet and greet at, boom, and you name one of the restaurants. Now you're the host of this event. You get there early, you build rapport with the restaurant owner, you buy some appetizers, everybody else buys their cocktails and their entrees, and you get to be the mayor of that little event, right? You get to have these great conversations, lead people through whatever questions they've got about real estate, and of course, collect their information and then nurture them over time, right? Affinity marketing is about shared interests, key learning from the data, right? We always say people do business with those they know, like, and trust, and yet, for some of you, you're going, affinity what? I haven't heard of that before, right? This is a way to show people that you're like them. You're interested in the same things that they are. Fourth lesson. If it looks like marketing, it's safe to ignore. I don't have any tattoos, but if I go out with Jared tonight, I might get one. And it might say that. It might. I mean, we live at a weird time. We do. We're all bombarded with more messaging every single day than we can possibly pay attention to. Our brains are stuffed full of messaging. And so as a defense mechanism, our brains are constantly deleting anything that's safe to ignore. And the rule is true. If it looks like marketing, it's easy for our brains to just dismiss it. It is. And if you don't believe that, think about the last time you checked your own inbox. Right? You're scanning through, it's garbage you don't even want to open. You're looking for a message from someone you know. That probably has a priority, right? The number one thing that influences the impact of your content is the relationship between the sender and the recipient. Like key learning. I don't care if it's an old lead from 18 months ago, build a relationship with that person. Pull them closer so that over time they're like, oh, it's a message from Andrew. I'm going to open that. I love that guy. Right? That's how it should feel. That's how it should feel. Right? So if you're going to really embrace this, it means you're going to have to change some of the things that are what I call marketing by checkmark. It's easy to sign up for a service that does X, Y, and Z, that sends out all sorts of things, and ooh, you feel like, check, I did it. And yet, you're often robbing yourself of the conversations that are available for you by not fully embracing who you are. So I'm going to say do this, not that, right? If it looks like personal communication, it's going to get a lot more engagement than if it looks like marketing. So if you're using MailChimp, Constant Contact, any of these HTML email providers, most of what you're sending is being regarded as marketing, right? Pull that back. Send it like you wrote it yourself, right? Make it look like just a short message. I'm reaching out to my friend, right? That's the kind of messaging that people engage with more frequently. Now, lesson number 5, doing the right things in the right order generates the right result. Does that sound ridiculous? I mean, that's painfully obvious, isn't it? We learn this from the moment we're kids. You put your socks on before your shoes. Like, duh, you just do the right things in the right order, it works out. And yet a lot of times in business, we forget that. We do. And, you know, I'll be very frank and transparent with you. I shared with you that I started my company as an experiment. I purposely said, you know what, I'm going to set my ego aside. Let's just discover what works by monitoring the data. And observing that over all this time has really taught us some startling things. Like, number one, we've learned that one size fits all is a really poor fit for everyone. You work in an industry where people hire you because of you, they refer you because of you, and sometimes you send exactly the same stuff everyone else is. You know, I want you to invest in being who you are and really standing out. And I also want to share with you that I've had to take my own advice. You know, I've been speaking at the Jared James Advance since the first one in Hartford, and our business has evolved a lot over that time. It really has. It used to be that we had some content in our system that was the same for everyone. It was kind of a one-size-fits-all thing. I just wanted to send what the data said would work. If it works for Andrew, it'll work for Abra. Not true. It's not. The data says that is not the right way to send content. And so it's forced me to rethink the way I run my own business. So today, you might notice if you go to happygrasshopper.com, you can't buy our stuff online. You can't. We took the ability to start using our service off our website. That's a bizarre thing to do for a SaaS company. And yet we did it because I know that the right way to help someone is to have a conversation first. I always view that conversation as a form of coaching that lets us put the right strategy in place before we build the content, right? Strategy should always precede content. If you know where you're going, you can build a plan to get there. You absolutely can. And again, if you do the right things in the right order, you get the right result. And the right result invariably is more engagement with the communities that you support. Whether it's a community of agents, whether it's a community of vendors, whether it's a community of prospects, leads, past clients, other agents, what you really need, the reason for your website, for all your marketing, for everything that you do, the purpose of it is to create the conversation that leads to the outcome you're seeking. Now, there is way more that I could share with you than the time I have allotted here today will allow. So I've put together something really special for you. I've got all the data, I've written out all the details of all these different messaging strategies I've explained today. Would you guys like that? Yes, you would, of course you would. So the way to get it is super easy. Just send an email right now to yes@happygrasshopper.com. You don't need to follow a link, you don't need to download it, we're just making it super easy. Just send any email to yes@happygrasshopper.com and our system will automatically reply with all of the details that I've shared here today. Right? So final thought before I go. We're all taking time to be away from our loved ones, to be here together. This is a special commitment that you've made to be here today. And I want to encourage you to get the most of it. Make friends while you're here. Talk to the person you haven't met. You never know where that conversation is going to lead. I promise you it'll lead to something good. So thank you everybody for your time and attention. Appreciate it.
Everyone, please welcome back to the stage, Jared James.
How've they been so far, guys? Good stuff? Get it one more time for Dan Stewart, guys. One more time. How many of you, when he said how many of you were in Connecticut, I'm just curious because it's probably not a lot of hands. How many of you were in Connecticut, that one that he mentioned? Real quick. Okay, yeah, look at that. Anybody back here? Is it just these ones right here? In the back over here? Well, Mangus, I mean, you pretty much go wherever I go. That's awesome. Guys, your database. How many of you raised your hand when he said, your database is exactly like you want it and it's doing everything you want it to do? Did anybody raise their hand? Because I just wanted to know, everybody's got work to do, right? That is one of the most important topics you're going to hear. Database is not a sexy conversation. It's not any of that stuff. It is literally the key to everything. You know, like I have, when you talk about marketing and you talk about all those things, I was talking to, you ever heard of Russell Brunson? ClickFunnels, I guess not very popular in this room, probably the greatest internet marketer on planet Earth, but just not with the people in this room. But Russ and I were talking once, and I said to Russ, I said, dude, because all he does is internet marketing, and I said, dude, what's the greatest form of marketing on planet Earth? And obviously it's word of mouth, but let's just put that aside because it's not predictable. You can't make that happen, right? I said, what's the greatest form on planet Earth? He goes, well, that's easy. I said, I know it is, but I'm curious what you're going to say because you're an internet marketing guy. And he goes, it's your database. It's your email database. And everybody's like, what? Your email database? 21.6% open rates on average. What marketing are you guys doing that has a 21.6% success rate? Anything? It is the thing that nobody talks about. It's not sexy. It will literally either take your business to a different place or just stay stagnant based on what you do. So if you're going to listen to something that you hear today, guys, if you're going to work with a company, you're going to do whatever, like database, database, database. What did we say before? Visibility trumps ability, but visibility is what's the best way to be visible? One of the ways? Your database. How many of you get my emails? You get my emails? Okay. What a lot of times is in those emails? The content that I'm creating on other platforms, and then I leverage that content through what? My database. How many times have I said, don't just listen to what I'm saying, watch what I'm doing? You need to be doing the exact same thing. When it comes to your database, no more of that, here's the best pumpkin pie recipe. Guys, Siri, what is the best pumpkin pie recipe on planet Earth? Unsubscribe. Here's the latest interest rates. Siri, what are the late? Unsubscribe. A lot of you need to ask yourself the question, would I reply to my marketing? Some of you need to stop and look at yourself and go, would I respond to my marketing? Or am I just checking the box? Checking the next box? Because your database is one of the most powerful things you can have in your business, and you're going to hear things from me over and over again, because consistency is undefeated. What did I say to you yesterday when I was talking about business creation? And I looked at you all, and I said, I see the looks on your faces, and you're like, I came here to feel good, and right now I don't feel good, right? And then what did I say to you after that? I said, but look around you, because everyone else is in the exact same boat, because at the end of the day, it takes how much? This much. So when you hear something about database, and you hear something about how powerful it is, and your contacts, and nurturing, and being direct to consumer, and doing all of those things, look around you guys. Not one hand went up. When one of the most powerful things in your business, he said, how many of you have it in line? You love where it's at, whatever. Everybody's just like, what? But here's what the deal. It takes how much? It takes this much. One of your commitments, database. When I did, I'll say this one really quick thing. About 10 years ago, when I used to go do events, I used to sell a lot of events. The only event that I sell out now is this one, just so you know. Like, this is it. Like, we mentioned coaching, we mentioned mastermind, we mentioned cleared and closed, we mentioned first up. It's the only event I do that at, because it's my event. And I'm like, I don't want to just tell you do good things. I'm like, here's solutions. All of my company's have been built around what's the solution for the thing I'm trying to get you to do. So like, I have no problem doing it here. Every other event I do, I don't sell. And the reason why is because about 10 years ago, I realized, okay, if I'm in front of an audience, I can deliver a pretty powerful message. I can get a 20 to 30% close rate, but they don't stick around because they make decisions out of that emotion, and then they never see me again, and I'm out. I made a decision about 10 years ago, and I said, I'm going to stop doing that. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start getting people in our database. And so how many of you have been to a live event that I've done for another company? Like, you've come to one that I was hired to be at. Okay. So what I started doing was I started actually not selling, but instead I would do an email at the end, and I'd say, I'm going to give you guys all the stuff I've talked about, all the templates. I'm going to give it all to you for free. You know, send an email to, how many of you have been at an event where I've said, send an email to yes@jaredjamestoday.com? You got that, right? And so ultimately I did that, and I stopped selling, and what we started doing was we started capturing about 70% of every single person in the audience that I was talking to into our database. And what that did for me was it allowed me to be direct to consumer. We have 5, 6 companies within our portfolio. Do you know how that happens? Do you know why I can start a company? It's a viable company right away? Because I can start a company, send an email, and we automatically have customers. Because we're direct to consumer. We have visibility. And so just like what I did in my business, I said, how do we build that database? Everyone in here needs to start thinking, how do I build database? Conversations with it. How do I build database? And then what am I sending to them? And that guy, Dan, with Happy Grasshopper is a great way for you guys to be doing that. Sound good? You guys ready for our next session? All right, I'll take that as a maybe. Maybe give them a little bit more energy when they come out here. But if you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming back to the stage Justin Berry, Jill Ward, Margaret Labus, and Howie Boovie, coaches from my staff here. Come on out, guys. A lady. Not kissing him. Yeah. I'm not kissing him. All right. This is a session that I've been looking forward to called Listing Mastery. This is the one I've actually mentioned this several times at events that I've been at even when I've been here on day one. And the basic premise was the idea that there are no silver medals in real estate, right? At the end of the day in real estate, we get first place or we get nothing. And it's not even the same. It's not like, oh, okay, well, you know, first place or nothing. When you don't win the listing, it's worse than never going at all, because you not only didn't get the listing, but you spent the time going and didn't get it, right? And so I thought it'd be really cool to bring up some people who I think are really good at this and talking about the whole process. And this is one where you're gonna wanna take a lot of notes. This is one where, you know, what I love about this is some of these people up here have some different ideas. You know, they disagree. They're like, well, I do this. Well, I do this. There's a lot of different ways to do things, okay? And so what you guys wanna take from this session is not that you remember everything in it, but when you come to a conference like this, if you can pick up 1 or 2 things, like remember yesterday when I talked about that children's listing agreement, right? How many of you saw that and went, I'm gonna start using that? Like that's one thing that literally can make you a lot of money. So that's the perspective I want you coming from, is what are those 1 or 2 things that I hear here that I'm like, just added to it. I just sharpened this, I just got what I needed, okay? So before we get started, guys, if you could take a moment, introduce yourselves, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and then we'll get right into it.
Hello, I am Jill Ward from the island of Oahu in Hawaii.
Hey, Justin Berry, Kansas City, Missouri.
Hello, I am Margaret Labus. I'm from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Howie Boovie, Grand Rapids, Michigan, the Mitten.
What was this? What was that part?
The Mitten.
Oh, I thought you were doing like all the single ladies. I thought you were about to like, I didn't hear what he said. I just saw this, and I got a very good visual on what I was hoping you were gonna do, okay? All right, let's get started on that note. Let's talk about before the actual listing happens, right? What are you guys doing from the perspective of ensuring that you have success or setting people up for that appointment beforehand? Like, what are you guys doing beforehand? However you take that question, what are you guys doing before? And by the way, when we do this, I don't care who answers, who does whatever. Like, what are you guys doing beforehand? Go for it.
Internet stalking.
There you go.
So, you know your comms, somebody else will talk about that, what they do, pulling things and getting things ready, I'm sure. But I think the number one thing you need to do is as soon as you get John Smith's name, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, anything you can find on John Q. Smith, right? Because you want to find your commonalities primarily, right? Oh, you're from this place. Oh, you like this sports team. Oh, you're religious. I better pull back my not so religious verbiage sometimes. You know what I mean? You want to get to know who you're talking to for the commonalities, but you also want to know where not to go. So I think that's really key. So use the internet, find out who you're meeting with, and find that common ground.
Real quick on that note, that's such a good point. We were talking backstage. This comes back to the things we say all the time. You marry the principal, you date the model. You marry the principal, date the model. Well, think about what that means, right? The principle there, and has always been with Sales 101, is building rapport, right? Which means you got to find commonality. Now, how you used to do that was different. The thing that you have available to you today is exactly what she said. When you have someone's email and you put that email in Google, you find out everything about them. You find out how many times they've been in prison. You find out what social networks they're active on. You find out if they're a grandparent or not. You find out what teams they like. You find out all of this different stuff. And what it's doing for you is it's giving you a heads up on everybody else. This is what I talk about. This is what I don't talk about. And they don't even know why they feel so comfortable with you, but it's because you went in there prepared. And a lot of you would hear that and go, well, I don't have time to be doing that kind of thing. But you have the time to go and waste your time losing a listing, right? What do you have? Treadmill? Running a 5K. Do the prep work up front, because second place doesn't get a silver medal. It's a great point.
I over prepare, so I probably use about 20% of the stuff that I bring with me. But I'm a 2-step listing agent, but I have to be prepared for that 1-step high D that wants to make a decision right there. So
That's
I have
a great point.
Bring all of that with me. I have to have my iBuy, my quick buy, my cash offers. Like, I have to have all of that with me. I usually don't even talk about that stuff, but having that prepared makes me able to capitalize when I need to.
So you actually, that's interesting what you just said there. So you said I do a 2-step process, but you also, it's that chameleon thing we talked about yesterday. You understand, like, for example, if you came in for a 2-stepper with me, we're done. Like, we're done. I'm not doing this. I don't have time for 2. That's not going to happen, right? I just did this at a car dealership. I went in for something. They're like, well, come on in, we'll diagnose, and then we'll order the part and come back. And I said, guys, I know what part we need. And they're like, no, but you got to commit. I'm not doing that. And so we literally did it in 1. So you will adjust on the fly if you're dealing with that person who's going, time is my asset. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely. That disc profile is unfair advantage. If you know your disc and how to recognize what's sitting across the table from you, you have an unfair advantage, and really you have everything you need to handle all the objections that they're going to throw your way.
Love it. So you connect with them by understanding who they are, and the way you do it and the answers you give are not determined by who you are, they're determined by who they are. Like those communicative love languages, not determined by you, determined by your consumer. Love it. Anybody else with that, or?
Yeah, I'll go. Before I go, I don't do as much preparation. I do pull some comps, but what I'm really trying to find out is what's important to them. So instead of bringing a big presentation and going slide by slide, I just want to know what's important to them and prepare for that as much as possible. So my favorite question is, what was your last experience like, and what would you change about it again? And that's what I'm going to focus on, because everything else probably, they assume we do everything else.
Wait, stop there a second, because that's a great question. So you are sending that ahead of time, or you're just asking ahead of time and tell them again what that was?
That's going to be the phone call. I'm going to send them a bomb video, but a lot of what I'm going to focus on in that bomb video is going to be tailored to what their their biggest fear of.
And you ask them what again? You guys, that's a really good point. You guys should write that down. What do you ask them again?
Yeah, tell me about your last experience. If there's one thing you would have changed about it, what would that be? One or two things. And I'm just going to focus primarily on those. I figure that people look at us as, they don't really want a real estate agent. They want a house. They want to get to the destination, and we're popping up going, hey, I'm a speed bump, and if you don't use me, something bad could happen. So they assume that that we're going to do all the things we're supposed to do, and if we're a pilot and we took off and landed, great. They don't expect us to do anything more than that. So I want to focus on the things that they're scared about. Everything else they assume we're going to do anyways. I don't want to bore them with that.
That's a good point. I love that. Anybody else?
Yeah, so we all know the importance of listings, but I don't think we truly, we all know listings are check cashing, right? Like, hey, to get a listing, woohoo! Who's excited about that? 3 of you, okay. So, but as a business owner, in today's market, a listing, you guys, is a unicorn. It's something special. And if you get a listing, so important to prepare and work on it, right? If you get a listing, now you can leverage that listing for what? More listings and more buyers, right? And so I just want to encourage you all, the importance of a listing is bigger than just, yes, in a seller's market, low inventory, right? It's a paycheck, that's great. But you should be able to leverage 1 new listing and 3 new buyers out of every listing if you're doing it correctly. So take the time to prepare. Take the time to be consistent. In fact, on that note, consistency is undefeated. I'm super proud to be part of this family. I've been here 10 years with Jared. Wow. And he takes consistency very serious.
Where's this going?
You guys were watching Andrew up here talking about the different personalities, and I couldn't help but the I personality, right? They expose their chest, and I'm like, we're consistent on the boob theme. I like it.
God.
I don't know if that was good.
I looked around for all the eyes too.
Was that? I'm sorry.
Did he say they open and show the? Is that what he said? No. After my jokes yesterday?
He did.
God, we are not coming off well here. That's fantastic.
That was bad. Sorry.
Oh Lord, I love it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But anyway, no. So strategy-wise, take the time. Most of us don't take the time to work on our business, right? Prepare. And so our pre is all about what Justin does. Ask great questions. As a great leader, you got to ask great questions. Where are they at? What's important to them? Are they interviewing other agents? Kind of just size it up as to where you're at so that you going in well prepared, well organized, and have your system in place.
Real quick on that. I was talking to an agent last night who was actually not part of the conference. I just happened to run into at another spot. And she was bragging to me that, she's never had a listing that, expired. She's never had a listing that took more than 2 weeks to sell. And 2 years ago, I remember you were talking about how people were selling houses too fast. You're not giving the opportunity. Right now, we have so much freaking opportunity because our listings take 2 to 3 weeks to sell right now. And most buyers don't have to marry up with an agent so quickly, so holding an open house, people are actually coming in and they're not represented. We have so much opportunity right now we didn't have 2 years ago because the market's, it's actually favorable for it, but I've still heard the anxiety about houses taking more than a week to sell. Right now, we have a gift, and he was telling us to do it 2 years ago. The market's actually providing it to us, so relax now and take advantage of the opportunity.
You remember that? I was like, knock it off. Too quick. Use this. It's like you said in the beginning. It's an opportunity when you have this, not just for a closing, but for everything that this brings.
And you may not know until you get into the meeting what their why is, but again, part of preparation, if you know what their why is, again, it's tailoring, right? It's what we're all saying and figuring out how you go in there and what you're going to need to do and, their motivation.
Yeah, we teach within our listing presentation, by the way, once you figure out what that why is, you got to play that and go to plan B. So you got to say to them, they're like, well, I want to move because little Johnny's going to be moving to a new school, middle school. We want him to start fresh. So we're going to go during the summer. So then at some point, I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to go, so what happens if you don't put the property on, it doesn't sell quick enough, and you're not able to close quick enough for little Johnny to get to that school by the time everybody else starts to create their friendships and their bonds. And next thing you know, he starts late, and now he's an outcast. And now he starts dressing goth, and he's got prison in his future, and all because we didn't price correctly. We don't want that to happen, right? So you play the why game. I'm joking around a little bit, but you play the why game because what I like to do with people is I can say, hey, okay, that's great. Plan A, but what happens if, right? And I want them to emotionally feel that so we can keep them realistic because have you guys ever dealt with an unrealistic seller? Okay. What do you guys do? And by the way, if I ask a question that you guys don't have the answer for or something, you want to move on? Go for it. You have more? Go.
Yeah, so piggybacking on that, understanding your why, a couple tips on that. Asking why is an actual adversary. If I say, hey, why do you do that? You're like, I do it because, but what about that is more curious. So if you can ask what about. There's a trick though, if you can keep asking what about and you get deeper and deeper and deeper, you can find out what their core why is, because, why are you moving? Well, what about moving is important to you, is what I would say. Well, we've outgrown the house. Okay, well, you've outgrown the house. If you had a bigger house, what would that do for you? Well, then the kids wouldn't fight. If you got to the next level, what would it be? I did this once, and we got down to where this guy one time had a husband and wife. They couldn't really talk to each other. They didn't have language around why they were doing this. They're just in uncertainty, and they're uncomfortable, and they got to move. By the time we got to the bottom, that 5, 6, or 7 level question, he grew up having to share a room with his son, with his brother, and his parents treated him like a twin. He hated that. Now he's got 2 boys, 2 girls, and they're both sharing a bedroom. The why at the end of this was he wanted his kids to have their own individual identity. Well, when it comes time later that he remodeled the bathroom and he didn't do the shower pan correctly, and he's upset that the inspector called it out, it's a $1,500 repair. It's like, well, is $1,500 worth getting your kids their own identity? The power of knowing that why is huge, because all of a sudden, what's $1,500?
That's fantastic. So you find out that's fantastic. So you find out the why, and especially for this conference, pros versus amateurs, all about the words. I love that. You find out the why not by asking why. You find out the why by saying what about. What about? And every time you say what about, it's almost like we're going a deeper level, a deeper level. But why can be a little adversarial. Well, why did you do that? Why are you like this? Why? What about that? That's fantastic.
What was awesome about it was that couple, they didn't have a clear understanding about why they were doing it. And you could see, actually, he cried because he's this tough firefighter. He actually teared up. And it was
sold
super
the house
powerful.
to Cisco?
Yeah. But it was powerful for them. And people don't have language around everything. And it was really powerful. Yeah. And now we have a great relationship with that client, for life. We're part of it.
So you actually connected. I love, one of you put it, it might have been you, you said the road bump. That we're the road bump.
Speed bump,
Speed bump. Was that you? I don't remember who said that, but someone said you're a speed bump, you're whatever. And now you've actually connected with that person. And when you look at why people work with people, at the end of the day, it is that connection. And everybody's coming in saying the same things, doing the same things, having price wars, you're asking questions that are actually connecting them to you, and you're like, yeah, I think I want to work with this person. That makes sense. I love that. Anybody else? Can I move on? And again, if I ask a question that you guys are like, I feel like I'll move on to another one, okay? What do you guys specifically do to build rapport? Is there anything you do to specifically try to build that rapport? I know you talked about, going on there and internet stalking. Is there anything you do to specifically build rapport?
Outside of using what I just told you, parasocial relationships, video. We've talked about video for years now. Video. People watch, people think they know you that you've never met.
Right. Oh, all the time.
It's parasocial relationship. So you can do things and educate people through, running Facebook, ads specifically to a custom audience. We use a street text software where I can actually follow up boss. I can change a tag and actually run specific advertising to somebody based on where they're at in the process. Well, the cool thing is, I know I'm having an appointment with somebody. They go into the I've already talked to you bucket. I can run direct marketing to them. That isn't conversion. It's just building relationships. So they've already know, like, and trust me before I show up. What's my conversion rate look like now?
I you guys know I come really prepared for these listing appointments, but I also come really prepared with solutions. So I leverage my Core 100. So
Love it.
even things that are way outside the realm of real estate,
Explain the Core 100, because there's like new people here who don't know what that means. Explain the
so
Core 100.
Core 100 are your very favorite trusted vendors that, your handyman, your electrician, your plumber, your accountant, your dog groomer.
Yeah.
So your hot list of people that you know, love, and trust that you use, that you know that will take good care of your clients. So coming with those types of solutions usually also is really helpful.
Awesome. Anybody else? Good. How do you, what do you guys do to differentiate yourself? Like, obviously it's competition. We said silver medal, doesn't get any, there's no silver medal. What are you guys doing, and at what part in the process are you doing it to kind of differentiate yourself, to show that I'm different, right? We did a whole thing yesterday, pros versus amateurs. I said how everything we do, everything we say is an example of what they can expect when they get us. It's differentiation. We talked about the certified pre-owned. We talked about the children's listing. We talked about the instant offer. We talked about all these kind of things. Like, what are you guys doing to differentiate yourself?
One of the things that I want to share with you guys that might be a little bit of a sensitive topic in differentiating yourselves, but because we all like to double dip sales, right? Double end them, work with buyer and seller. We as a company have taken a stance to differentiate ourselves, to not practice dual agency. And so we go into a listing presentation and we crystal clear explain to them what that means, what that's about, how it works, and that won't ever happen. We will completely 100% always represent you and your interest, and we don't dual agent.
Will you allow someone in your brokerage or team, or just not the same person, or just nobody from your organization?
Good question. So the agent who's representing the seller, it will never represent a buyer, but somebody from our company will.
So you can have it within your
within brokerage.
Gotcha. You're just saying that you're going to have somebody who represents you on both sides. Not going to be the same person. They can be within the same brokerage or team. They just can't. They're not going to be the same person.
Correct.
Okay.
I disagree, but I do it differently.
That's okay.
In
I said
fact-
it was going to be topic of sensitivity.
Yeah. All right. So during the, we did this before that, but especially during the COVID years, we were putting out buyer letters, finding off-market properties for our buyers. So part of our language is, we find the buyers for properties so often. Again, the seller, they just want to get their house sold. They think one buyer is all it takes. I mean, talk to a FSBO, they think that one open house is going to sell the house. So I don't really want to change that narrative. I just want to figure out how does that play to us. And we have such a habit of finding off-market properties. Like 2020, 2023, 2021, we had 42% of our buyers bought a house off-market through our efforts, and we didn't have to do all that other stuff. So a lot of my talking to them is how much with that, and we have recently switched to a brokerage model that we own instead of a team model. So what Howie's talking about there, I think makes sense for the brokerage, and it is a great way of doing what you're doing. However, we've done it forever as a team, and I just think they just want us to sell their house, and that's what I'm there to do.
Anybody else with differentiation? You guys do anything else?
Yeah, just add one more thing. Lean into your success stories. Like, find a success story. Find something you did that was pretty special and unique, and make a big deal of it. Highlight it. Make it a consistent part of your presentation, whether that's, hey, here's a listing that was for sale with another agent for 150 days. It didn't sell. We listed it. 30 days later, we sold it for 50 grand more than what was asking price on the previous. Like, whatever that is, figure that out, how you can differentiate yourself from success that you've had. If you're new or newer to the industry, lean into your team, lean into your brokerage. This is what we have done. This is what our marketing has done. Like, find those success stories and lean into that.
Hey guys, big tip real quick. I'm gonna go back to you. Big tip on that is, if I were to ask you guys, when do you ask for a testimonial? I'm not gonna do it because you're all gonna say the closing or the this or the that. And the real answer to that question is whenever the heck something good happens. You should have several. You should have testimonials from people who never even went through to close. So like literally every time something good happens with people, here's what you do. You grab your phone and you say, hey, do you mind just shooting a really quick video that says, whatever you say is exactly what they're gonna say. So if you're like, Jared's amazing, he wears a cape, he walks on water and whatever, go. They're gonna be like, Jared's amazing, walks on, like that. Whatever you say, they're gonna say. So every time you go through a situation where someone was scared about selling their home because they didn't know they're gonna be able to find another one, every time you go through, whatever the situation is, You want to have an overload of testimonials. And the reason for that is when you go into a listing presentation and you're sending off, we teach an email that you send off that goes through some points on it. But one of those things that's going to be in that email is going to be 3 different testimonials. You should be able to tailor those testimonials to their exact situation. So now they're getting that email before you ever even come in, and they're looking at these videos, and they're hearing people just like them from their marketplace going, I was so scared about finding another property, but my God, I work with Justin Berry, and 42% of their properties for their buyers came from houses that weren't even on the market. Do you know that he found us something, right? Whatever. And now you're walking in there, and you've already been framed as like, this is the person to do, but you're changing it up every time based on their need and what they're afraid of. And the only reason you're able to do that is because you're getting testimonials all throughout every one of your processes, buyers, sellers, whatever. Pull out your phone. Hey, can you just talk about? And now you've got hundreds and then thousands you can pick from, and you're framing yourself before you ever get there. Great way to differentiate yourself.
If you have an educational background, if you have something special, right, that differentiates you, you can also lead with that, right? So I'm an attorney. I'm not an attorney in this instance. I'm acting as your realtor. However, I'm an attorney. My big thing, though, is I always ask them who they would want for their insurance policy if things go south. So my job is to make this as smooth as possible and for us to have no issues.
Right.
But I am your insurance policy. You are paying into this that if something does go wrong, in this situation, I did this. In this situation, I did this. And it's not to put the focus on me, but again, it goes back to, I talked about this yesterday, telling stories and gaining their trust from your experience. So when things go south, I'm your insurance policy. I'll take care of it for you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we all have access to MLS. We all have our listings that are on 1,000 different sites. We all have glossy brochures. So we don't really talk about those types of things, but we talk things about consistency, coverage, things that like our team can provide that most solo agents can't. So we talk about those attributes rather than the nuts and bolts of actually doing it.
Fantastic. What are you guys doing as far as marketing the properties, and how are you communicating that to the sellers?
We are doing a lot of Facebook marketing for that. So part of kind of my secret on that, we all kind of know that the properties are going to sell themselves through MLS. I've spent a lot of time trying to get more business out of every opportunity. I'm leveraging. So I'm casting a net. I'm also running that marketing back to my clients, and I'm specifically making sure that my sellers on any marketing list, so they're seeing themselves out there. I'm trying to keep them cool and out of their own way.
So when you're marketing, you're putting your sellers on those marketing lists so that they're seeing it.
Yeah, that's the only thing. They have no idea what we're doing in the background. So that's an anxiety pill for them, just to be able to see that something's happening. If they can see it, then it's happening.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
Dan asked like who has the database that is humming along and doing everything, and no one raised their hand. You don't have to have something that's perfect. It will never be perfect, but utilizing that not just for you finding business for yourself, but we actually advertise that as that's part of our business plan when we're listing properties, is that we explain that. We explain those tools that we're using, and that is a huge differentiator in our market.
In the visualization of these things. So if you have hard copy, like you don't want to bore them to death, don't get me wrong, it should literally be 30, 45 seconds. These are my marketing pieces, and then I've got my iPad, and this is what I do. These are the videos I do on YouTube, this is what the advertising looks like on Facebook. I'm not dwelling on it, but hey, by the way, when I market your property, these are all the things that you're gonna get.
Setting proper expectations. I think the differentiator for us is they know without a shadow of a doubt when a showing happens, here's what's going to happen. Here are the questions I'm going to ask that buyer's agent if there's objections. Here's when you're going to hear from me if there's no showings for a week. You're consistently going to get a video, and we're going to tell you what's going on in the market. We're going to tell you what new properties are coming for sale versus what's sold versus what's competition. Like we're going to continue to nurture that relationship by setting great expectations and let them know what to expect. The biggest complaint I've heard in 30 years, okay, guys, is my realtor put the sign in the front yard and never heard from him again. Right? So you build great relationships like Justin did. Continue that relationship, nurture that relationship, pay attention to it, and set proper expectations.
Pick a day of the week. Pick a day of the week that you promise that you're going to update every one of your clients on where they are in their transaction. Maybe it's Friday, maybe it's Monday, but pick a day of the week so that your communication is consistent.
By the way, guys, when you're updating a seller, a lot of times what happens is agents will stop updating when they don't have great news. So they will update when they have great news, and they will stop updating when they don't have great news because they look at it like it's their fault. Sometimes you have to look at yourself like a doctor who it's your job to tell them what's wrong. So if you go into a doctor and they say you have cancer, the doctor didn't give you cancer. But the doctor's not doing the job if they don't tell you what the diagnosis is, right? And so when you're talking about what's happening with that house on the market, we do not control the market, okay? We can adjust and we can do, but anything you're giving them, this is not my fault, this is what the market is telling us. But you're not doing your job by not allowing them to make adjustments based on what the market is telling us. I didn't do it, but I have to, it's my job as this doctor right now to let you know what's going on. And then the problem is a lot of you aren't doing that, and then you're waiting, you're avoiding contact, and then you finally go in with bad news and go, lower the price. We need to lower the price. And they're like, whoa, we just jumped from that to this? And it's because you had all these conversations in your head, you had all this worry in your head, you had all this whatever, but you never communicated it. Where if you had a time every week you were talking to them and you're going, here's what I'm seeing, I think what we're gonna do is if this continues for another week, we're gonna need to make some, and you're starting to create that expectation of what it is, rather than just being afraid of making contact because it's not the best news ever, and then jumping in.
Post-COVID world, here's a good tip. So I use BombBomb again for a lot of things. Every Monday, you do a video that goes over, figure what your metrics are. What is it, the metrics you're gonna follow to tell them whether they're on track to their goal? That goes in your video every Monday. You don't send that out till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. You are not gonna talk to them on Monday. You are sending it for them to review, and you will talk to them tomorrow. That bad news, good news, whatever it is, they're gonna sleep on it, and they're gonna make a lot better decisions the next day. I also don't like having one-on-one conversations. So when you meet somebody at a listing, you're saying, I want both the decision makers to be there. You guys know once that listing date's over, you're talking to one person most of the time. Which means all your information now is going to the wife, who's telling it to the husband. I don't know how they communicate. I send it in a video, they both have the opportunity to hear my information. Now, good or bad, it's the same metrics every week, so when I bring up that price drop, more often than not, they've already came to the conclusion that that's where they're gonna be at. You'd be surprised how often they come to me and say, you think it's time to do a price drop? And I'm not the bad guy. I'm just giving them regular information, and I'm actually doing it in an incredibly lazy, efficient way for me, because it's gone on Monday, I don't deal with the high stress, and Tuesday they've slept it off and things are better.
That's such a great point though, guys. Like, I hope you guys got that. You're doing a video, you're doing a BombBomb video, so you know when they open it, you know that it's been, okay.
I can see how many times they watched it, I can see when they rewound it, yeah.
You can see where they rewound it, what they're focused on, what's happening, but the beauty of that, the part that I want you to pick up on with that, guys, I don't want you to miss, is two things. Number one, he did a video, which is they see you. What did we say yesterday? It's much easier to reject a font than it is a face, right? It's also much easier to get angry at a font than it is a face. And when he gets to make that video and he's got empathy and he's showing the same struggle and we're trying to do this and they see it, right? He's sending it out. The next thing he did was he said, I send it later at night so that we're not talking about this tonight, okay? And then what happens? They watch that, they sleep on it, they think about it, right? They're not just hearing it from you and getting angry and thinking that's going to, and then he's talking the next day, not with one of them, but with both of them, just like we were supposed to do in the beginning, because we're supposed to have decision makers here, because we don't know how you communicate. That's such a great point, using the video, doing it the night before, breaking the news that way. I love that. That's great advice.
And just one more thing, when you give them the feedback, it's not just data driven, also give them the feedback from the potential buyers. Because then you can consistently, week after week, the paint looks terrible, this place looks run down.
Yes.
You don't say it, you use better words, but you know what I mean? So then when it comes time for a price adjustment or whatever, you can say, you can either pay $5,000 and have your house repainted, or we can drop this $25K, your choice.
Yeah.
Right? So the feedback then also helps you move things so you're not constantly asking for price adjustments from your sellers. You're giving them alternatives and giving them choices, which makes them feel more empowered in the situation.
We're on the same team. This isn't me against you. I am reporting, we're on the same team here. That's what vibe you're creating. Love that.
Yeah, so when you're talking in that, I like using the word compelling. We talk about where are we in the market and are we compelling or not? So like in that situation, it's like, well, is it more compelling to paint the house or more compelling to drop the price? And it puts, using that word and asking them that question puts them in the buyer's perspective. It's like, well, which one do you think is more compelling? We can go both ways. We can increase the condition or we can drop the price. And when we're, and we're talking, somebody was talking about anchor pricing.
Yeah.
It's just, I like using how are we in the market imagine we were taking cereal to the, to the store, and we're putting cereal boxes, we're selling a cereal. Do we make the best cereal, or do we price ourselves accordingly? How do you shop for cereal? Most people are shopping for cereal by price.
Yeah.
Usually, making them pick between the two, they usually make the price
You're
decision.
giving an option, which means they're going to pick one of the two.
Right.
Guys, these are such great nuggets here. I almost hate to end the panel because these are such great nuggets. I hope you guys took a lot of notes here. Are there any final thoughts you guys have? If you don't, that's great, but do you have any final thoughts you want to share with anybody as far as this process goes? Separating yourself, anything?
Consistency is undefeated. Build
Are you
the
going
plan.
to tell another boob joke? Is that where
No,
this is
I'm
going
not
right
going
now?
there. No.
Yeah.
But seriously, guys, we're all salespeople, relationships, right? Take the time to create this consistent plan and work it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Anybody else? Guys, how about a hand for our panel? Those are some nuggets right there. So good. So
Thank
good.
you. Thanks much.
Brother, so good, man. So good. Ah, so good.
Mwah.
Nice to see you. Good to see you. Oh my God, guys, those are nuggets right there. Like, those are nuggets. Anybody get something from that? Freaking love it. I love it. It's like, there's the real exciting stuff, there's the hilarious stuff, there's the emotional stuff, there's whatever, but I'm telling you guys, like, I'm sitting there and, like, I'm just going, like, nugget, like, words to use, do it this way, do the video, like, whatever. Like, you could completely change the way you're doing your presentation just based on what you just heard right there. So make sure you take those notes, make sure you implement. How many of you have heard of a little place called, this startup called Google? You guys heard of Google? Okay. So we are heading into a world right now where this is, Google's going to take over real estate. I'm going to make it really easy for you. They're going to take over real estate, and a lot of you aren't prepared, okay? And so I'm really excited about this next session. One of our coaches, Anthony Camardella, love this guy. He started off as a follower, then became, you hear this all the time, guys, then became a student, is now a coach. This man's from Long Island, New York, so he's probably going to be a little bit direct with you guys, but I love this man, guys. Give him a warm pre-lunch welcome, Mr. Anthony Camardella. By the way, everybody, this man messaged me about a month and a half ago and said, I need to get myself under control. I'm doing whatever. He goes, I'm losing 20 pounds by the advance. And I saw him on day one. He's lost 22 pounds in the last month and a half. Let's give it up. Proud of you, man. Go get him.
Guys, like Jared said, I am from New York. I'm going to talk fast. They only gave me 25 minutes, but I'm going to give you guys like 2 hours worth of information, if that's okay. I need the energy level to match mine, like, Justin. Thank you. So the first thing that you have to understand about Google, Rick Fuller actually taught me 2 years ago. I knew nothing about Google. Chances are some of you, there's actually one guy in the room. I was going to totally single him out, but I'm going to be nice, okay? It's easy to think that we have this all under control, and I want you to know as I give you this presentation today, it's already changing. So you have to stay adapted to Google. I think this is the right button. Okay. So the first thing you have to understand is that Google actually stands for like 10 to the 100th power, but what it really stands for is an unfathomable number of possibilities for our industry. Okay, Google is looking to take over, as Jared said, not just our industry, but the world. So if you don't understand how Google works, it's all about visibility, which, if you guys don't know, it trumps ability. Okay? How many people in this room would love to be a local hero, right? Local heroes are awesome. They get to fight crime every day. It's tiring. They get to save the lady, the person in distress. The problem with a hero is it is something that has to be done every single day. You got to get up and you got to fight crime. Does anybody know who this person is? It is Jared James. You were right. If you came to see this man play today, you are in the wrong conference hall. This is Jared James, the singer. Right? This guy is undoubtedly a local hero. He's got the guitar, the leather jacket, the long hair. How serious is that face? Now, I'm going to make you guys laugh. When I show this to somebody, they're like, oh my God, that actually looks exactly like him. I didn't know he played guitar. Guys, this is not our Jared. That Jared totally underestimated the power of a legend.
His name is Jared Peterson, to be clear. His middle name is James, and he stole my thunder, okay?
Yeah. Can somebody cut his mic off?
Okay. We're both blue check marked, and that man has stole half my internet traffic.
So here's the good news, though. Here's the good news. If Jared ever wants to stop, which we all hope he doesn't, but if he ever wants to stop working in this industry, all he has to do to put this man out of business is learn to play guitar. So he tells you guys all the time that he can come to your marketplace and dominate. Do you know why that is? Because when you put his name into Google, you actually find him. So many of you had recommendations and tips. You guys were commenting on all the questions inside of the speakers panel. You're like, you just do this. It's that easy. Guys, it's not that easy. The person who had the most amount of advice in there, I typed their name into Google and I can't find them. So, although it's still out there, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not convinced. I am not convinced. Now, for some of you, I hear this a lot. I stand inside the crowd. I have been coming to Jared's seminars for almost 13 years now. And everyone says that we have an advantage from being in a large market. Does everyone know that Jared's from Stanwood, Washington? And the most interesting fact that I could find about Stanwood, Washington, they haven't bothered to count the population since 2010. Okay? So Jared currently has about 10 times the amount of followers that are in his hometown. But this works both ways. I'll tell you a personal story. Growing up, I had a friend from Africa. His parents, Osmave I Hombre, okay? It's a lot on the mouth. So his parents nicknamed him OJ, okay? And in the mid-90s, to be going around at 6'7", African-American, as OJ, didn't make you popular at parties. So this was my first lesson in marketing, right? Because the content that we create then turns into the public perception, which is literally the outcome, right? So you've heard perception is reality over and over and over again, but what are you doing to influence your perception? Are you doing anything at all? So when we talk about the visibility game of Google, we have to understand that Google is blowing everyone out of the water. Not even by a little bit, by a huge margin. They get 8.5 billion searches per day. For all the people taking pictures of this, do you not realize that the slides are inside the Hoova app? Watching everyone's arms get tired all day. So second to Google is Facebook, which I actually was really impressed by. Then Instagram, which is kind of part of Facebook, right? This one really shocked me. Snapchat, how many people are actually advertising on Snapchat? One hand, awesome. Then you got, I am pretty certain Elon renamed it X because we're all taking it off our phones, just right off. So Twitter, and then last, certainly least in all of our opinions, you have Zillow. Zillow doesn't have a daily view count. They could only give it to me in months. And for all the Canadians in here that are telling me Zillow doesn't exist there, this is their information, not mine. Don't get mad at me. Okay, 60 million users per month, or 2 million US daily. So Andrew Ermonger, who was up here before, he's got a TikTok of his Ring video camera with about 8 million views. Stacy's in this room. She has a video of a toilet bowl with about 2.5 million views. So there are people literally generating more views per day than Zillow. Can we all give a round of applause to the fact that Zillow sucks? They just don't have it. Come on. There we go. So a lot of you were interested in getting your Google fix at this presentation today, and I got to be honest with you, they only gave me 25 minutes, so I can't do that for you right now. But I will give you as many tips as I can. So let's talk fast. You got Google Business, which everyone seems to think is the only place you can make money with Google, and you're very wrong. That's not how this works. It's one section of Google that they will charge you for. All right? And then you have Google Tools, which are some of my favorite. They're completely free. Google Voice, Google Classroom. Jason told you, start using your Google Calendars. Okay? Google Organic includes your Gmail, right? But in a way that you may not understand yet. We'll get into it. Google itself, and then Google Ads and YouTube, which you all should know by now. Just stop. Do it. These are the 22 types of Google ad products, and this is what everyone came here for today. And if you think that you're going to grab some wings and a six-pack and bang this out on a Saturday afternoon, you are crazy. So I'll give you the first place to start, and that's with your Google My Business page. And for everyone in here, few people have said their Google My Business page keeps getting shut down. you need to request a postcard to get mailed to your office so you could verify your identity. They're never going to unlock your profile. For whoever asked that question inside the Whova app, said they were locked. I can't use my personal name anymore, guys. Anthony Camardella is in Google jail. I can't get him out because the address they have registered for my old company is completely wrong. So the mail will never get there. I'll never get this postcard. And when you get locked out of Google, just make a new name. It's that easy. So for the audience here today who only recognizes the corner pictures and the middle one's a little foreign to them, this is probably where you're having your first problem. For some of the brokers in the room, I cannot believe how many of you have functioning teams with their Google Maps set up at your office, and you're not even listed as a person inside of that building. Why? Right? Google Maps has essentially replaced all 4 of these pillars. Anybody still driving around with a Hagstrom map in their car? It's always one hand, no? All right, good. Okay? Google Maps, right? You can't do it by the stars, and every piece of information is inside of Google Maps, including your phone number. So if you're not on Google Maps, where are they finding you? So I had to do this little investigation and figure out, like, how much better is Google over Zillow? And then it dawned on me. It was so easy to see, right? Zillow versus Google. Can we imagine what the biggest difference is? It's this. Zillow wants any independent contractor with a checkbook, okay? Google wants a pro, and only a pro. So for some of you, you're like, I don't get any Google leads. Of course you don't. You have no reviews. Or you got 5 and 3 are from your mom, and everyone can tell, okay? You gotta be a pro. You have to get your stuff together. It's not an option. Come on, okay. Google Screened is similar to Google Guaranteed, but does everyone understand what makes Google Screened special? Right? It's only available to 4 industries: us, lawyers, financial advisors, and childcare. So basically, every major portion of your life, Google Screened. Some random contractor, Google Guaranteed. These are the biggest differences. So for the lawyers, like my state, we're in a litigious state. I'm so jealous of all of you who get to write your own real estate contracts. That must be nice, right? I have to hand it to Daddy, who goes, nah, fine, right, and throws it back at me. According to Google, lawyers and real estate agents are the same profession. So what about YouTube? What should we be doing to fix our YouTube presence? So if you talk to somebody like Andrew, you're probably going to say, I'm not cut out for this. Andrew puts out almost 100 pieces of content a week. It's very intimidating. So let me give you the building blocks on where to start. You got to Answer the Public, which if you guys don't know, if you're ever struggling with content, like it hurts, you can't think of it, you're just blocked, go on answerthepublic.com and answer one of those questions. Any one of those questions. You'll be okay. Make a video on it. TubeBuddy is for your descriptions, guys. Okay? Half of you have bad spelling and grammar. Please go to TubeBuddy and ChatGPT and fix it. You're not getting any keywords with your town name spelt wrong. It's not going to work. Another good source of information, this came from one of our coaches, Alex recommended this, and it was like, light bulb moment, right? How many questions do we get inside of our email boxes that we never make videos on? Right? They ask every day in and day out, same question. And like fools, we answer those same questions day in and day out. Except we could just make one video and let it live on forever. And if you didn't know, which I think most people know this trick by now, you go to Google, you type in best real estate agent on Long Island. After you see my picture, scroll down a little bit further, you're going to find people also ask this. And I wanted to point this out because I feel like a lot of people really don't comprehend. This is a behavioral thing. If you want to find a house, you're probably going to go to Zillow, Realtor, or places that show you houses. But if you want to find a real estate agent, where do you go for that? So when I saw these questions, I saw, how much does a real estate agent make on Long Island? Who the heck is going to ask that question? Either a competitor or a seller that wants to know how much they're going to pay me. What is the real estate commission on Long Island? There's a trend here, guys. The sellers are trying to figure out how much it's going to cost them to sell the house. So you got to be the CEO of your SEO. A lot of times, Everyone in here, almost for the most part, has a brokerage that has given you a free website. And I have talked to way too many of you to know that you all throw that to the side because you saw somewhere on YouTube that they don't rank high on SEO. Done beats perfect every time, guys. Your mother does not care if somebody else in your office has the same website template as you. So you got to know your audience, right? You could use your company-provided website for your sphere. It's just that easy. They're not expecting anything crazy out of it. Now, if you are concerned with SEO and you came to this session today because you want to rank higher naturally on Google, you have to start putting in the work that Google wants to see, which is SEO. For those of you who don't know, that's search engine optimization. Okay? That's where you're going to need a website that can hold blogs, that can hold information and videos, that could actually be that source and start to be that source of information. You don't need to come out of the gate with that, though. Half of you just need to actually put your picture on your company-provided website, buya.com from GoDaddy for like $8, and just start there. Tips to making money with Google. There's a lot of writing here, and I don't like a lot of writing, so I'm going to try to make this quick for you guys, okay? Write the descriptions with intent. What you have to understand when you're making either a Google ad or you're making a YouTube video is the title is the answer to the question. It is not, I'm Anthony and I'm special, so watch this video, right? The days of putting on the three-piece suit and jumping out of the Rolls Royce that everyone knows I don't own, gone. Sellers don't care about that. They just want the answer to their question, which is why this next part is so crucial. How many people in here run Google Ads? Really scary few amount of people. Okay. If you're running Google Ads and you're sending them back to your generic page, I want you to think about this. Have you ever ran a foreclosure ad and then sent them to go shop for $1 million house? There's no relevancy to that. And Google will push you to the bottom of the page because Google works like this. And if they see there's no relevancy from that ad to that page, they're not even going to promote it. So your ads that you're spending all this money on, you're like, well, it's only pay per click and no one's clicking it, so it's not costing me any money. Is that the goal? It's obviously not the goal. So coincide the landing page with an applicable actual ad, right? If the ad's about foreclosures, the landing page has to be about foreclosures. Don't do a teaser ad about how to avoid foreclosure to have them click on it to then bring you to the most expensive neighborhood in your town. That is not applicable. Okay? Set up keyword phrases, and this one's big. Also, remove negative keyword phrases. We all focus on the keywords, the parts that are going to help us get what we want. What about the parts that we don't want? Right? What about the keywords like we were saying before? Do we really want keywords based on commission solely? So maybe we'll take commission and we'll exclude it out. Create a market audience inside your Google Ads. Increase the bid for warm audience. This is a little advanced. If you're already running ads, guys, you need to understand there's a separate area inside your Google Ads to address these warm leads, the people who have clicked on your ads once before. Google wants to help you keep track of them. They're willing to do it for you. Okay? For everyone that wants really good keywords, this is the best site to go for keywords. Okay? So it's neilpatel.com/ubersuggest. Don't do this cringy stuff. No one thinks you're special. Okay? So the videos about why you're special need to stop. They really just want the answers. So stop giving things that aren't relevant to the answers. Also, don't create random detached landing pages that don't associate with anything in your marketplace. If you're running ads in a neighborhood where the average price point's $1 million, in this market, is there a need for a foreclosure ad right now? Probably not. This one's the worst one. I'm guilty of this one. Okay? You gotta stop starting to post and then stopping. It's so bad for your algorithm, right? If you make a post and then you stop for 4 months, Google's like, that guy either passed away or went out of business. They're not gonna show your page anymore. So if you engage for a hot minute and then you leave it alone for 3 months and you send me a DM and you're like, hey, my Google's not working anymore, well, when's the last time you signed into it? So if you don't know how Google works, this is the CEO of Google, and this is how it works, okay? As Google, they have stored billions of pages inside of the index. Billions, with a B. They take that keyword, and then in seconds, they match it. 200 signals like relevance and popularity and things as such. And this is why we go back to saying, you're not going to fix this in Saturday afternoon. This isn't something that you leave this session and you tell me, hey, guess what? I set my entire Google up by 7 o'clock tonight. I know you're lying. It's impossible. So please do yourself a favor. You have to be highly intentional with the information that you're putting into Google. It should take time. It should be frustrating. Only the good things are. So I want you guys all to just kind of remember this. You could be the local hero, like Jared James Nichols is, all right? Or you guys could focus on going out there to be a local legend. I highly suggest you guys go be a local legend. From my favorite movie is The Sandlot, so everyone remember, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, legends never die.
Please welcome back to the stage Director of Coaching, Reagan Archambault and Jared James.
That's a great. All right. We're getting there, we're getting there. I think that's the line of the day. The line of the day. Jared loves to tell you he can come into your marketplace and dominate you, but if he really wants to dominate on Google, he needs to learn to play the guitar. Like that's the line of the day. Where's Reagan right now? Reagan, where are you at? Reagan? I'm gonna do this. Somebody grab Reagan, otherwise I'll do this by myself. All right, guys, here's what we have going on. How many of you are staying to the end of the day? Yes? Okay, a couple of quick things. We have, what breakouts are you looking forward to right now? Like, what breakouts are you guys going to? Let me know. Have you guys planned it out? AI? Oh, we do have an AI one. Who's teaching that? Max? Paco? Okay. What else? Low-cost lead gen? There she is. Here she is, Miss Reagan. What else you guys going to? Short-term rentals, that's a good one. Awesome, yeah. What's that? Exit strategy, that's a good, oh, we're doing that one day two right now? How many of you are going to exit strategy? How many of you would like an exit strategy? That's probably the real question here, right? All right, awesome. So what we're gonna do is you guys are gonna have those coming up here. As you know, 4 o'clock we get back here right on time. Reagan's got a couple things she wants to say to you guys, but before she does that, I wanna remind you of a couple things. Second half of today, I'm gonna go get my merch on. I'm gonna be wearing that for the second part of the day. You guys need to get some of that merch. Like, I don't know about you, but when I go to a place, I like to bring a piece of it home with me. There's something about seeing it and being like, and then by the way, the team put a ton of work into that. They made super cool things. For any of you that bought it, how's that material? It's top quality. Like, it's good. It's not just sleep-in type of stuff. It's actually really nice stuff that you can wear all the time, wear to the gym, wear every day. So I'm going to be doing that. Miss Reagan, did you have something you wanted to share here? I believe you.
I thought we were both wearing heels today. No?
We're both what?
I thought we were both wearing heels
don't
today.
You dare do this, okay, with the freaking heels. Okay? Like 6-inch stilettos over here.
Personal request, I had a few people that, come on, I thought they're disappointed.
Do you know what's funny is that, like, so, oh my God, this is ridiculous. One after another. I had somebody come up yesterday. We were doing pictures. It's not that funny. It's not that funny. It's not that funny. We just opened up a spot for director of coaching. Anybody interested? Anybody? Okay. Someone came up to me yesterday and they're like, "Wow, you're not." I said, "I'm not short. What are you talking about?" Like this has become the joke. Okay, I'm above average size.
There was a lady in the elevator this morning who was like, "Oh, you really are that tall."
Oh my God. They said that to you? You really are that tall? My God. All right. You're really gonna stay down there?
I have someone who actually shared something with me. Natalie, I know we're gonna do it now. Surprise.
Yes.
Surprise. Stand up here, hon. We had a good little chat here. Natalie came up and said something to me yesterday, and I thought it was actually really impactful, and a few of you in the room might be in the same situation. Go ahead and share.
Okay, so my husband and I were self-employed for 23 years. When I got into real estate, like someone mentioned yesterday, I didn't do it for financial reasons, honestly. I did it because I just had the desire to do so. Fast forward 3 years, and this year we made the decision to close our business. Trucking is not what it once was. And so I signed up for coaching last year after coming to the Advance, and when we decided to close our businesses, obviously our finances had to be looked at. And so after some thought, I decided, without talking to my husband, that I was going to email Reagan and ask how I could get out of coaching. It's a big monthly expense. So I emailed her, and the response I got wasn't really what I was expecting. And I tried to find it this morning, but it was a one-liner, and it said, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not really understanding why, if you're closing one business, you're going to quit putting forth the effort into your other. So
what happened?
she said, can we schedule a conversation? And I said, sure. She said, here's my schedule, click on here and let's chat. And my stomach, y'all, was sick. So then I told my husband, hey, I tried to get out of coaching. And he's like, you did what? And I said, I tried to get out of coaching. I don't want to spend the X amount of dollars a month. And he said, Natalie, we didn't talk about that, and that's not a good idea. And I said, well, thanks to Reagan. She agreed, and we had a phone call. I actually switched coaches that month because, thanks again to her advice, she said, we need to get on lead gen now, today. And so Charles is now my coach, and you guys, it's been worth every single penny plus some.
Awesome.
I will not. I hope I am never without a coach. And if I have to financially change things up, it will be the last thing I change. I highly recommend it. Okay, so yesterday we learned that anxiety comes from stagnance. I'm not trying to challenge you, Jared.
Go for it.
I actually think stagnance can also come from anxiety, because my anxiety was putting me in a place where I just wanted to sit and wallow in what had just happened. And I'm here to say that closing my husband's business has been such a blessing. We are sleeping better, we feel better, we are happier, and real estate, although it is a tricky year, it's been great, and we're all blessed to be here, and we're blessed because we're here.
So proud of you, Natalie. So proud of you.
That's awesome. Awesome. I'm hearing that for the first time myself, guys. Just see, we don't like plant these things. She just came up to me. She's like, I just talked to someone, and I think I should talk to them. I'm like, great. And then Reagan wasn't here when I got up here.
Anthony finished early. Anthony's very long-winded. That surprised me, because normally he will take every last extra minute.
That
I know.
surprised me as well. But
I know.
he did well.
I
He did
know.
well,
It
though.
threw me off.
Did Anthony do a good job, guys? You guys get something out of that session?
I'm so proud of our coaching
By the way,
team.
can I just say for a second how proud I am of our coaches who have been coming up here one after another and just knocking it out of the park? Do you know what a relief that is for me? It's like other people can come up and do amazing things, whatever. It's such a relief. And honestly, it allows me to give everything that I have into the other things that I do, right? So we're gonna do, you guys are gonna have your breakouts. I'm gonna have my closing session. We start, if you guys haven't learned yet, we start on time, okay? I'm gonna say one more time to you guys, get your merch, you wanna bring it home. If you haven't gotten your consultation with your coach yet, it's first come, first serve. If you haven't signed up for your cleared and closed transaction coordinator yet for your free transaction, it's first come, first serve. Get these things done, guys. We will see you after the break. Enjoy lunch, enjoy the sessions, and we'll see you at 4 o'clock. Have a good one, guys. Oh, yeah.